Hey everybody, welcome back to Word Balloon, the comic book conversation show. John Suntress here. Man, it's been forever, but it's finally time for a Bendis tapes. We did record something in March, and Brian's like, something, let me listen to it. I may have said something I shouldn't have, and I never heard back from him for months. And it's okay. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm busy. Send it to me again. So finally, Labor Day weekend, I'm like, hey, can we talk? He's like, yeah. So we did a great, almost 3-hour conversation. You're going to hear it now. And I said, hey, what about that March thing? He's like, oh, yeah, you can release it. Well, so in a couple weeks, we will release that conversation from March. But, at that time, Brian was excited because Season 2 of Powers was just a few weeks away, and other great things were happening. Then the summer came, and unfortunately, Sony decided that 2 seasons was enough for Powers for now. We talk about that in the interview. And good news, Scarlett is in development over at Cinemax, and we've got details on that. And Brian gets reflective of the good experience of Powers, and then had some really interesting experiences in the spring and summer, like going to the CIA. And speaking in front of the CIA, he talks about that. In the meantime, Jessica Jones, the Netflix show, won a Peabody Award, and Brian is one of the executive producers, so he was asked to go. And talks about the experience of the Peabody Awards, an incredibly prestigious broadcasting award. And I think, especially coming right off the Emmys this past weekend, interesting to contrast the very difference. And this is an award for what people think of as important television. So pretty interesting stuff. So we talk about those things. Of course, we talk about the comics. Civil War 5 is out today, Wednesday, as I'm releasing this episode. And Brian talks a bit about the issues leading up to Civil War 5, 1 through 4. We also talk about Riri Williams and a bit of the controversy behind Riri Williams. We talk a little bit about, certainly the outrage of the cancellation of Nighthawk. And Brian has an answer for that, and that is to pre-order, but we discussed that. And I'm trying to think of anything else that, our usual pop culture nonsense. So, we just keep going. But it was a great conversation, and I'm happy to bring it to you today on Word Balloon. It's brought to you by the League of Word Balloon listeners. Thank you very much, League, for your support. I'm getting ready to go to New York Comic Con, and you're one of the reasons why it's a little bit easier to get there and, make new connections and continue to bring you new conversations here at Word Balloon with first-timers that have never been on Word Balloon before. So thank you very much. If you want to help subscribe to Word Balloon, it's not necessary. Word Balloon is free. It will always be free. But if you want to help the cause out, think about it, especially this month. I've got at least 10 episodes, I think, coming to you this month, and it's well over 10 hours of comic book entertainment. Think about that compared to when you spend $4 on a comic that only takes about 15 minutes to read. So if you want to help the cause, if you can spare, the price of a comic book, if you can even spare $1 a month, that would be great. You can go to wordballoon.com. You can click on the Patreon ad that's there on the front page. It will take you to my Patreon page and videos explaining why I feel like, subscribers are helping me with updating equipment and helping me on my journeys to conventions to network and bring you new content and different people here at Word Balloon. So as always, truly, thank you very much, League of Word Balloon listeners. You're awesome. And new people every week are joining up, and I really do appreciate it. It does make it easier to produce this show. Thank you very much for your support. Word Balloon is also brought to you by InStock Trades at InStockTrades.com, and there are some neat collections that are waiting for you at InStock Trades. Things like the Supergirl Adventures of Supergirl trade back, and that's from Sterling Gates and Bengal, the artist. This was the digital book that now is collected, and are we getting how many issues here? Doesn't say. How many pages? 144 pages, pretty cool. 42% off. It's just $9.85. And Sterling is really one of the more exceptional Supergirl writers of the past decade or so. How about Velvet Volume 3, The Man Who Stole the World? Great series from Ed Brubaker and Steve Epting, a tremendous spy series. Every volume is great, but now Volume 3, brand new out there, 42% off, $8.69. I'm actually talking to you on New Comic Book Day. So some of this stuff is available now and certainly at an even better price from InStockTrades.com. You can get the Absolute Why the Last Man hardcover volume 2 from DC. These are big, giant, amazing collections. 50% off volume 2. It's just $62.50. You can also get scalped hardcover book 5, the deluxe edition from Jason Aaron and R.M. Guerra. That is 42% off, $17.39. Just a few of the great books that are waiting for you at InStockTrades.com. We'll talk about more of them at the end of the show, but do yourself a favor. Go over there now and get some amazing books at great prices. InStockTrades.com. All right, without further ado, because it's been so goddamn long, let's join our new conversation with Brian Bendis. It's the Bendis tapes, now on Word Balloon. All right, he's back. It's been a long time. And it's okay because, we all get busy. It's all right. But it's a pleasure to welcome back Brian Michael Bendis to Word Balloon.
Thank you, darling. 4 children seems to have been the level of which making this a regular podcast made it crazy. Anyway, but we're here. It's good to talk to you. The good news is that in the interim, since we've last spoken, I have stories. I have stuff to tell you.
No kidding. I know. Your texts have impressed me in terms of your adventures. Yes. So, you introduced
stuff that may I say I specifically saved for this podcast, and that is the truth.
Thanks.
And I kept it to myself. So
no, I appreciate it. So tell me of your adventures.
No, I got nothing. Well, the one I posted about online a couple of months ago, but I had the really unique experience of speaking at Langley as part of a diversity program. Yes, I know, white guy spoke at the diversity program. Screw you. And but I was invited to speak there, and everything surrounding it and the experience itself was quite amazing.
Langley being the CIA, in case anyone doesn't know. Yes,
the headquarters of the Central Intelligence Agency. Yes, I do know someone there. I'm going to have to keep it at that level of vaguity. I do know someone I know grew up with someone there, and when the higher ups found out about our connection, they were told that they were putting together a diversity speaking series, and that my name was on the list. And they went, "Oh, great, you know him. Let's talk to him."
Fantastic.
And yeah, it was one of those weird things. And so we were vetted. It actually was very similar to the vetting we went through for adoption. So we were vetted, and it was very interesting. And I went out there myself the first time to meet with them and talk with them. It was one of those, and this happens quite frequently, where people are being overly grateful that I took the time, and I'm sitting there going, I just spent the afternoon at Langley. You don't have to thank me. The writer in me is thrilled to bits. They gave me the trainee tour.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, what's really crazy, and I'm going to say this, I've kept this to myself, but now I know from people in Hollywood that I'm not alone in this. So I'll tell you. So you go through an insane amount of vetting and security clearances. Mm-hmm. And you do get proud of yourself that you cleared it, yeah. And, because you do think, like, in your head, you're sitting there going, well, I've never been arrested, and I've never done anything wrong or said anything crazy online. But, I wonder if I've written anything crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
or perceived as crazy. Sure.
Yeah. Here it says Norman Osborn wants to overthrow the government. Is that, I thought something. So it didn't, and then I went on the first time I went there, and it's cool. You drive down a hidden path, and there's snipers in the woods and security all over the place. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you're like, it's crazy. And then you get in, and you're not allowed to bring your computer or your iWatch or your phone. You're not allowed to have any electronics on you. If you want to find out what time it is, there's a room to go to that has a clock in it. And I'm not joking. But it's such an insane amount of security, like literally like 4 times the airport, right? And then you get through it, and
good comparison.
I don't know how else to say it. It's like that, but more. And then you go down the hall and turn the corner, and the first thing you see is a Starbucks. And they have a little bit of a food court.
We all get thirsty.
Yeah, I know, and I found out it's the highest grossing Starbucks in the world. Because no one leaves the building.
Double shot latte.
It's so hard to get through the building that they just stay there. So they just Starbucks all day.
Well, that makes sense.
And
okay.
I became obsessed with this. Someone has a security clearance to serve coffee. And,
that's true.
And there's other restaurants there as well. And then the second time I came back, there was a sign that says, "Coming soon, Five Guys." And I'm like, and I was just last week, I was in a meeting at Cinemax and HBO for Scarlett, and I mentioned this, and I said, I'm obsessed with, there's a TV show in this.
At least an episode, sure.
I go, there's either a comedy or a drama. And then the person in charge said, we have heard the pitch of the CIA food court like 8 times. I'm like, all right, I'm not, okay.
That's
like every writer that goes there goes, this is a show. Anyway.
Sure.
So everybody from Homeland has already put the show.
He's the most dangerous barista Starbucks ever had. He's vetted and also licensed to kill.
Yeah, it's a secret. Anyway, so the other funny thing that happened, so what was great was I got this incredible tour, like not just an incredible tour. Hilariously, I don't have my phone. I don't have anything on me. All I had on me were comic books and a couple of Sharpies because I knew I was bringing some comic books to the meeting, right? And
which comic books?
Well, I brought, the ones that, Miles Morales and Jessica Jones, the ones I knew
diversity ones.
Were speaking to what I knew what we were talking about, right? So
any Riri?
This is just pre-Riri. Riri was announced 2 weeks before I actually did the speech. This is before she was announced. And so I literally wrote on the covers of like 4 copies of Jessica Jones, like just everything they're telling me about the history of assassination, the history of this and that. And I'm just scribbling all over David Mack paintings. It was just very surreal. And then finally they took me to the supply store and I bought notebooks and filled them. I'm good to go. And if everyone will now see an inordinate amount of SHIELD agent activity in my comics over the next 2 months, I know, I'm aware. Even, like Tom Brevoort actually laughed at me. Like everybody's a SHIELD agent now. And I just I couldn't get it out of my system.
It fits with what's going on in International Iron Man. Isn't that where Tony's mom is right now?
Yes,
and everything?
And having already started down that road and then being fed all of this was wonderful. You know what I mean?
Fantastic.
You feel like, oh, I've been given everything I need to do the thing that I wanted to do,
Excellent.
So it was just a very great day full with observances. I got to eat in the fancy place where they eat. And right across from the director's office, and had wonderful conversations about diversity and culture, and they found themselves wrestling with the same issues that Marvel and other people have wrestled with, which is we want to open the doors, and it's long overdue, but you open the door and there's no one standing there. What are you supposed to do? You know what I mean? Like you open the door and go, okay, and then there's no one. You can't just. It was very interesting because we literally the same week I was in New York having a very similar conversation at Marvel, which was about you want so many different voices, and then you open the door, say, come on in, voices, and then the voices aren't there or they're not ready for this level,
Mm-hmm.
And and this goes for anybody, if you're hired to do your job before you've prepared for it, you can just fuck it up and go you're back of the line again. And we've seen this in comics 100 times that person wasn't ready. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yes, I do.
And boy, that would suck for everybody. That's the opposite of what you want to accomplish. But conversations online aside, people over there looked at what was going on at Marvel and what we were doing with our books and the culture we were creating around them as being way ahead of the curve. And they wanted me to come talk to everyone about that. And, and then I was like, well, yes. I said, but I will say, if I was running this, I would not make it a speech. I would make it either a series of speeches or a panel. And I would make the panel have Sana and David Walker and Kelly Sue. Like I would fill it full of diversity of experience and perspective, because that is what I've learned over the last couple of years, that it isn't diversity of skin color, it's diversity of perspective and experience. And mine is different from David Walker's, who's different from Kelly's, who's different from Sana's, and everyone is succeeding following their own path, and that is what should be talked about. What ended up happening, and of course I don't, their budget is their budget, so it's not up to me to how to spend their money, but they did listen to me halfway and invited Sana to come down. She was also on their list to come down. So me and Sana spoke on the same day. And
together or individually?
Kind of both.
Okay.
Kind of. I started, she finished. We did Q&A together. It was for people who've heard us speak or did our TED Talks. It was kind of our greatest hits package. You know, it's like, here's how Miles was created, and here's how Kamala was created, and here's what they've done, and here's the experience. And it was among probably the coolest place I'll ever speak in my life. Because you're sitting there going, from your days in independent comics and the dreams that I had, this is so far beyond anything. Like, I go, one day the CIA will ask me to come speak. You know, it's nuts, right? So, so that was the other funny thing that happened the first time I was there was, so I was sitting at the Starbucks with the person that I know, who was helping me navigate the building, and a person comes up to me, and clearly one of us, right? He just comes up and goes, "Are you Brian Bendis?" And I go, "Yeah." And I'm telling you, John, I get made like once a month, like, you know, weird places. You know what I mean? It's always like, you know, not at comic stores or conventions, but normal life situations. You know, I look like 30% of Portland. You know, no, it's great. It's perfect. It's, you get made just enough to go, oh, look at that. You know what I mean? But nothing. Sure. You know, I know famous people. This isn't. You know what I mean? It's wait.
Well, like Kelly Sue says, you're comic book
famous. So. That's right. So this guy comes up. He's literally walking by. He stops and goes, "Are you Brian Bendis?" And I go, "Yeah." He goes, "What the fuck are you doing here?" I go, what do you mean? He goes, "This is the most secure building on the planet. Why are you in it?" And I couldn't tell if he was mad at me or what. And I go, and I didn't know what I'm allowed to say too, because I was just told to, you know, not say anything.
That's.
And I go,
well.
And I go, well, no, I'm here visiting. They go, and he goes, "Are you fucking with me?" And I go, I go, "Hi." And he goes, "No, I waited in line for you at Baltimore Con for 45 minutes 10 years ago, and now you're sitting here at where I work." And I go, well, and then I had comics on me, so I pulled out a couple of comics and gave them to him. And he goes, "Seriously, is this a test or something?" And I go, "No, you know this guy here?" And they go, "No, we don't. We're not allowed to talk to each other."
Really?
Yeah. And I go, "Oh, okay. Well, it's nice to meet you." And I gave him the books. And it was nice, and shook his hand. And then as I'm walking away, and I was so glad to stay on this podcast because no one else understood this reference. As I started again, he goes, "This is fucking weirder than when I met Jim Starlin at that Dairy Queen." He muttered it under his breath as he walked away. So funny.
So wait a minute, this food court, does everybody pretty much like either they're from the same department or they're a bunch of people that are just there by themselves because they can't talk to anybody?
The departments talk amongst themselves. You can overhear a lot of small talk that you're not supposed to hear. It was fucking fascinating. There's also this, just this mixture of, after a while, like I was there for hours and like hours into it, you start to realize that there's an inordinate amount of very physically attractive men and women, like very good looking models, like tall, Steve Rogers built, you know what I mean? And you're like, and then there's a lot of people in my species. There's like, and well,
like
realize,
the Peter Fox, like the Peter Fox in the In-Laws. Oh, they're all like me. Sure. Go to the ground.
Yeah. And but then you realize that these are all like Navy SEALs, and you know what I mean? Like they're like the best of the best of the best. Right. And then also people that literally drove over from MIT and just planted themselves in the cubicle and started reading numbers. So the two species of people were fascinating to me.
Wow.
So the initial lunch and meeting went well, and then they did make the speech series happen. They invited me and Sana to come down. You do get that feeling, unlike other times where I've spoke or did a signing, you're sitting there going, I really hope this happens, because if they cancel this, that means something really bad happens somewhere. Like, you know, and also I'm like, who's going to show up to this? It was all very vague, right? And then we show up and the place is freaking packed. It was insane. And they were all like crazy diehard nerds, and they brought so many books that they ended up putting out a folding table and letting us sign for an hour. Like that, you know, which all of which was not supposed to happen. It was very, very cool. And then they gave Sana and I a certificate of excellence award and one of these coins. And my wife loves this. She was there, and it was hilarious too. It was like, can my wife come? You know, and they're like, well, that's a whole vetting process. And then they finally said yes, and they vetted her and let her come. Right.
Oh, wow.
Because she's Canadian. So they let her in. No, but, you know, like the very few places in this life that my wife's going to be bowled over, I thought this would do it. You know, we've been married.
Sure.
We've been married 20 years. You got to take the hits when they come, you know. So, when they presented us with our coins, the entire audience went, ooh, like very loudly. And the coins were a big deal there. And so we have these coins that we're very proud that we have.
What's on the coin?
I
can't tell you.
My wife actually went and got a coin holder for it. It just says
send me a picture and I'll put it on the website if that's okay.
Central Intelligence Agency Diversity and Inclusion Office. It's very nice. But
memento, sure.
These are a big deal at the agency. So
and forgive me real fast, because I'm trying to understand. Are they coming to you in terms of comparing, trying to get into the CIA and the rarity of a comic book job at a, you know?
And more about the fact that our culture was fragmented, and it has been defragmented by more inclusion, and by doing so, more people of color or different ethnicities or backgrounds are finding their way into comics or making their own comics. And that's exactly what they were hoping would happen in the clandestine operations, that there would be it's basically, and I know there's some people listening to this, rightly so, think that not enough has happened in comics. So looking at it like, comics, well done, comics, it's all fixed, you know.
Oh, no, go on, yes.
No one believe, John, you've got to see my Tumblr. It's constant. Nobody anywhere thinks it's all good, right? But as much work that needs to be done, there's other places that more work needs to be done, that are behind where we are. And they looked at us as ahead of them, in so much so is that we opened our doors and slowly people are starting to walk in who are talented and ready and, you know, ready for the stage, you know,
right.
And they wanted to talk about what we had done that got us where we are and what the parallel to what they are. And it's basically that to do what you need to do there at those offices, you have to have a very specific set of skills that you have had to dedicate your whole life to being. It has to be your passion, not a job, right? And
of course.
And that's the similarity to comics. That everyone who's made it in comics has dedicated their life to it. And it's not just some job I'm going to do until I find another job. It's this is my career, right? And something happened along the way in comics that for a long time, people of color and women thought they weren't invited, right? A lot of
that's the perception.
Yeah, that's the perception. and then and I'm going to use women as an example. And let's say 5 years ago, 6 years ago, the woman issue started to correct itself. That both Marvel and DC and other companies started hiring more women, letting them write more than just female, things. Let's use Kelly Sue as a perfect example. Right?
Yes.
And not only
writing the Avengers,
but writing the Hulk better than anyone ever thought a woman could write the Hulk, right? Which is ridiculous. Sure. But I've been in meetings where the idea of women writing the Hulk is not something that would work, which seemed insane to me. I remember having this argument with someone. It was insane. And then once someone like Kelly Sue and others, I'm just using Kelly Sue as an example. Once Kelly Sue comes in, guns a-blazing, here we are just a couple years later, you felt like this wave of other women just coming in, right? And what you see is someone opens the door or someone breaks down the door, which is even cooler. Someone breaks down the door, other people come in, right?
Sure.
That's what they're talking about. Is that and it's not just people coming in; it's people who are ready to play, ready.
Right, they have they have the skill set that they are ready to do the job on day one.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was fascinating to me because I, like many others, don't think comics have done nearly enough. But then you meet people from other perspectives who see us as leading the way, and as someone who has daughters, I'm like, not enough, you know what I mean? And
sure.
So I also was, it's very nice to meet people who care so much and are trying to do not only the right thing, but the right thing the right way. And as I said before, the mistake I've seen a few times is people are so hungry to correct an injustice that they put someone out there who's not ready. And that just fucks everything up,
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
For that person and for lesser-minded people who think, oh, well, and this happens in Hollywood all the time, like one action movie starring a woman doesn't make money. They go, oh, we can't make those anymore. Well,
yes.
They never do that with male action movies. It's ridiculous, right?
Right. Well, no, we had that conversation years ago about how Domino kind of fucked up the female bounty hunter detective films. No, I remember that. And obviously, no, that's self-evident. V.R. Wachowski is another great example
Cutthroat
of that.
Island.
That I know. Cutthroat Island, exactly. Female pirates. Whoops.
Yeah. So no, but
but
it didn't stop them from making Pirates of the Caribbean, but they'll never make it.
No, and it's not to say that someone shouldn't try other than Jenna Jameson to make a modern day woman-centric pirate movie. Sorry, feminists. That's a mild joke.
It also shows how old you are. That movie might be 10 or 12 years old.
Well, yeah, exactly, because now I get shit on for coming up with a movie from the 2000s and not the 2010s. Anyway.
We have someone working in our house who was born in 1995.
Yeah.
And it's upsetting.
Well, that's my two nephews are now comfortably in their 20s, and it's like, yikes.
It's upsetting.
So I understand.
You were
all right,
born and I was already married? That's great.
Yeah. I know. Hey, man, I get it. We get interns like that in radio all the time. I do understand.
So anyway, and also I gotta say, I know there's and I joke about it sometimes, but white is the lamest label you can give me when I'm a Jewish American who's the father of a multiracial household. So there's all kinds of diversity going on in my life, but I'm bald and Chinese, so not everyone's willing to look at it at first glance.
Well, as we're talking, DC had their talent search, and I know a lot of people got rejected. I didn't read who got in. Would Marvel go to that length and do something similar? Is there something like that in the works?
I honestly don't know. Not my department. I don't know.
Okay.
Couldn't say either way.
No, I understand. Well, I'm due to talk to Axel again, so that'll be a question when I do talk to Axel.
We have a retreat in a couple of weeks. They always tell us stuff like that at the retreat, but
okay. Well, that'll be in 12 years when you come back, then we can talk about it.
So anyway, it was just this very cool experience, And my point is about my label as a member of the diverse crowd. It was nice to meet people who didn't give a shit that I was white. Because I even said, it doesn't bother you that I'm white and you want me to speak about this. It will bother somebody. And they go, no, not one we care about. I'm like,
no, we like white people.
No, you know what I mean.
No, I do know what you mean.
That is like, here's a white guy to fix diversity for you. So,
well, yeah, women say that all the time. Boy, it's really nice that all the men got together and then created this law about women's issues.
Exactly, and I don't want it to seem or feel that way because
I understand. I understand, and I do get that. I'm going to ask you some information questions that I kind of think I might know the answers, but just for the purposes of our discussion about this.
Yes.
Like, what's the racial makeup of your writing class?
It's quite. I got to tell you, and they all come in. Like, I don't know what they look like. I mean, I can tell when I'm looking at my roster.
I got 3 Jews. I got an Italian.
No, but you can see there's women and men. More or less.
Right.
Well,
yeah, but they're like, how much do they express?
I got to tell you, it's been a nice little. It looks like the people on the bus in Speed. It's like a nice mixture.
I was going to ask if it looks like a Benetton ad, but all right.
No, Jeannie Garofalo used to have a great joke about that on the Speed bus there was everything but an Eskimo with a harpoon sitting in the back.
This is true. All right. Inuit person.
And again, I don't have much control about who sits down in the class, And then when I come in the room, I'm always like, oh, that's nice. And also, David Walker co-teaches with me now.
Yes.
So we were covering a lot of bases that we weren't before, which is cool.
And also, what level of skill set do you think you give them, both you and David, in the course? When they come out, what do they have? What can they do?
You know what? At like every class, it depends on the individual. This last class was one of our best. The ratio of, they're ready to go, it was very high.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, that's the intent of the class, that basically, hey, if you want to start making comics, that's what these are the skills.
I looked at it.
Depends on how well you obviously take to these skills and are able to do them.
Yeah.
But yeah, tell me.
Yeah, I mean, it's like any class. I mean, like you come to the class, you show me what you got, and then we try to make it better by the end of the class. And I give them assignments in class and assignments out of class, and 3 major assignments. They have to do an autobiographical script, which very surprising how few people have ever or are willing to or are afraid of writing about themselves. It's very interesting to me, and this one I'm very, very interested in this. Just psychologically, that there's a lot of people writing about dragons, but when you ask them to write something about their childhood, it becomes a whole blah, blah, blah. And they don't have to write like a dark thing. Sure. I always say, like, what's the best story you have? Like, what's the story you tell at a party and it always kills? You can do that story, or you can tell the story about how you murdered your little brother. You never told anybody. Wherever you want to go with this, that's where you want to go. But writing about themselves it's funny how off-putting it is for some people. And then the midterm is they have to do an 8-page webcomic, which is in another genre. They get to pick because I get sickened by teachers that are genre snobs. It really bothers me. Like even when I was in school, I had to write about what the teacher would like. And I'm like, no, you should write what you want to write about.
Sure. And
show me how good you are at it,
Is that autobiographical thing? Is that 8 pages as well?
It's like 5, and then it's 8, and then we build, and then.
Okay, wow, 5. That's cool that you're even teaching the 5-page skill, because that's something that I've 5 and 8 pagers. I'm always like, that's really hard.
It's very hard
to cram all that in.
It teaches you everything you need to know about yourself as a writer. Is what do I need to tell this story, right? And and I always go. And by the way, story is beginning, middle, and end, not. Here's the premise. That's the mistake a lot of people make when they're doing short stories. They have like a scene or a premise. Like, no, beginning, middle, and end. And it teaches it teaches a lot. It teaches you to write from your perspective. It teaches you to write the shorts, which are very they make you scrape away everything that's non-important to the story and just get to it. And then the final for the semester is a full comic book that you have to write and produce visually somehow, whether it be stick figures, your friend draws it, you draw it, photography, mixed media, however it is that you want to portray yourself as a writer. You have to create 20 pages with a cover, print it, hand it in.
Okay. And again, full story. Obviously.
Full story. And a different one from the one you're working on in your midterm. And that's my take advantage of the class, spread your wings.
Sure.
Don't get locked into your whatchamacallit. And it's so funny, like some semesters, like there'll be like 25 kids in the class, and 15 of the stories will be about magic dragon eggs that they all wrote individually.
Sure.
I'm like, wow, you're all into dragon eggs. I've now read 15 stories about dragon eggs. You know, and then the next semester everyone's into something else, you know, but there's always some like thing that everyone's into that's very interesting. So anyway, so that's what we do.
Well, like I said, no, I've been curious about that, and also because, you know, that's the thing is like, what can each person do to help the problem?
Well, yeah, and it's hard because. Well, first of all, the good writers, like Joshua Williamson, took the class, and when he was in class,
I didn't know that. Go on.
Yeah, he was in my first classes that I taught.
I'm gonna have to talk to him about that. Go on.
And I jokingly take credit for his success, but the truth of the matter is that every semester you can tell which one they're going to make it, and this is just one of the smart things they did on their road to making it. You know what I mean? Like taking this class was very helpful to them, and a good sign of them knowing what they need, and that's a good sign of a successful person, if that makes sense. Like when you talk to Joshua when he like 5 years ago, you're like, oh yeah, it's a done deal. You'll make it. If you do this, and this, you'll make it, and he did it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, no, and that's the thing is, and as you say, some people come with certain skill sets already that they have already got, and you're kind of helping them with the rest.
Or some of them come with horribly bad habits.
Sure,
they need broken, and that you can break. And then if they trust you to break it right away, you're good to go.
No, I understand that, and that makes sense and everything. Well, and also I do know, Ed, because I've heard you say this before, and I've heard other creators say this before, that at the end of the Marvel Retreat, like you guys go around the horn, and it's like, all right, who's out there that we're not talking to and we're not doing stuff with?
Yes. Absolutely. And it doesn't just happen at the retreats. Like if any of us read something that we go, wow, that was really good, you point it out to the people who are, there's people at Marvel who are actively looking. It used to be CB, now it's someone named Ricky Purdon, and he's very good. He's actively looking for the new hotness. And what I also like is that they're constantly putting new artists in front of us. Sometimes in a group email, like, hey, you guys look at this person. And there was like one person they sent to me, and Hickman was like, oh, I really like them. And I'm like, and then I'm working right now with Nico Leon on Spider-Man, and he was put in front of me this way. They were like, hey, take a look. And that's actually how I met David Marquez too. His CB sent me his stuff and said, I think you'd really like this.
Is Nico drawing then for you right now, or is he a writer that you're mentoring?
No, Nico is drawing. He's drawing Spider-Man while Sarah gets ready for the next arc.
Oh, cool.
That's
both
cool. Drawing. Yeah. And
did he do? Go ahead.
He's killing it. I'm just saying, it's just excellent, excellent addition to the way Marvel does their stuff.
Okay. Tell me about the Peabody Awards, or do you want to? Is there anything else? No,
the CIA thing was.
They're your stories, kid. Yeah.
No, CIA was fun. It was very, very cool. I got to go there. It was awesome. I got a coin. And then, the Peabodys. Like I got a call from Loeb. You remember Loeb?
I do remember Loeb. I'm hoping to talk to him soon.
And
I saw him like for my best 5 seconds in San Diego Comic-Con. Kelly Sue and Matt, and then and I'm totally cool with that because that's where everyone's busy.
Sure.
But literally, it's like, hey, good to see you. All right, take care. We'll talk soon. All right, and same with Loeb. I got him for like 10 seconds.
Yeah, that's how good. Everyone's running to something.
Absolutely, but go on.
And so Loeb called and said, "You're coming to the Peabodys."
That's awesome.
And it was funny because there's like a lot of stuff around Jessica I couldn't do or didn't want to do. Like they were like, "Come to the set," and I have a set or had a set, and I know that when people come to the set, they're actually coming to your workplace, like you're working, right? And sometimes.
Sure.
We're all fucking around and it's fine. And other times, I could see they feel they're in the way. And I would respect Jessica enough not to show up in the middle of the night while they're working. So I said, when they invited me, I went, nah, it's okay. If I'm there, I'll come. But I wasn't there. I'm not going to like travel across the country just to bother them at work. And I know I sound crazy when I'm saying this. Like, you didn't go to the set. And like, I had my own craft services. It's okay. And, but I will go. And I realize some of that is just me being nuts. I don't want to bother. This is a Jewish grandmother me. Oh, please.
No.
Stop with the invitations. But
I'll die over here in the corner. Go ahead.
And I couldn't come to the premiere because it just, where I was in the world, I physically couldn't get there. And I was bummed out. I was bummed out about that. And then he goes, "You're coming to the Peabodys." I go, let me look at my calendar and make sure I can make this. And he went, "Brian."
Exactly.
How many times do you think you're going to get invited to shit like this? And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And I I hung up and I said to my wife, "I got invited me to Peabody." She goes, "Go."
Oh, yeah.
So I went.
Yeah, what are the Peabodys like? I mean, as far as compared to other award ceremonies.
It's super fucking fancy. Let me tell you this. I did wear a nice suit, and I was very glad I did. Holy shit.
So cargo shorts sound okay?
What?
Yeah. I said so cargo shorts sound okay,
yeah, no,
apparently.
And even my fancy convention dress would have been embarrassing. And but it was very, very nice, and I sat and had dinner with Kristen Ritter and Melissa Rosenberg and the other writers, and that was very nice because Carrie Ann Moss was there, and I'm actually a really big fan of, and it was very, very nice. And we, it's not voted on, or there's no nominations or anything, so everyone knows they won.
Right. Okay.
But
is it a juried committee? I guess.
I don't know, but I got to tell you, and of the way people get awards, I like that more. This nomination award thing is bullshit.
Oh yeah,
it's just nonsense. And but this is nice. It's nice. Someone goes, "Hey, we like what you did. Here's an award." That's very nice. Now we like what you did. Now we'll see if you make the finals. It's not. It is annoying. So I know. Boo-hoo, I know. So so we're sitting at this nice table, and my chair is touching Larry Wilmore's chair, and I'm watching Aziz Ansari eats, and you open up the program, and it tells you in what order everyone's going, and then it says Jessica Jones, Letterman. And I'm like, Letterman's here? And they're like, not only is Letterman here, turn around, and they were like 2 tables away. There's Steve Martin, there's David Letterman, there's Jon Stewart. It was, and I'm literally, as you know, the biggest comedy nerd in the world, and this was fucking happening. Now I'm much more obsessed with seeing Letterman get his than I was about ours. You know what I mean? I was like this. I wouldn't ever think I'd be in a room with Letterman.
Yeah.
So what's very funny is it's the Peabodys, and you can watch them online. They're this mixture of it's all programs that actively did something positive, right? So it's a mixture of entertainment shows like Jessica or Blackish or Masters of None that have a good message somewhere in the material and the way they handled it, mixed with very excellent news programs that have shined a light on something profound. So then
I've got the Washington Post article, and it gives what the Peabody judges said about Jessica Jones. It says the show asked unpopular questions about power and consent while constructing vivid and compelling characters.
Lovely. Yeah, and
I'm just saying for the context.
No, it's very nice. Okay, so in that context, okay, So here's what's funny, and I'm blanking on his name right now, but one of the writers, Jessica and I, were sitting next to each other, and they'll show, like, it'll give 10 minutes to Master of None, and 10 minutes to Blackish, and then they show a clip. Then the lights go down, they show a clip. The lights come on, everyone applauds the clip, right? And then, but in the mixture, they'll go, and here's someone who did a piece about how all the elephants are dying of AIDS. And then they'll show the clip, and then the lights come on, and we're all applauding, and then you're like, I don't want to applaud the AIDS elephants.
Right.
Why am I applauding?
Because it's news.
And, go, and here's a country where everyone's been raped. Yay! Oh, why am I applauding? This sounds bad to me. Yeah.
Yes. That happened at the Chicago Emmys when a news channel won for its coverage of a mass shooting. And they literally play Hold On, I'm Coming for the music as they're getting the award. So it's like, hey, way to go for the Person X shootings. Did it. And everyone's like, oh, no, that's not good.
Terrible.
Yeah, that really happened.
So this is what happened with us. And then you're looking around the room, and it's like, this is a fucking nice room. And it actually was like one of the best catered meals I've ever had too. And sometimes these
the veal was excellent and inappropriate, but excellent. Go on.
You go to like a really nice bar mitzvah and the food is shit.
I do know, actually.
It's a lot like that. So, but this
I'm sure it was it black tie.
It wasn't black tie, but it was dress.
Sure.
Yeah. And some people had black tie, but everyone looked good. And
sure.
And then they have us, and I wasn't even aware I was going on stage. Like I thought I was just there to support and there to experience, and and much like I didn't know I was getting a prize at CIA, I didn't know I was getting on stage and getting a Peabody at this thing. And then they had us all come on, and Melissa, once again, very nice to me publicly, and it was weird for her to. And I'm mad that they cut this out of the broadcast because it meant the world to me. But she literally in the middle of a speech gestures at me and says very, very nice things about me. And then there's applause. And then you look down, and who's got the best seats in the house, right? The ones you can see right away. There's Letterman and Seymour. They have no fucking idea who I am, but they're all applauding. And I'm like, wow. Hey, when's you going to see that?
Yeah, no kidding. Right? Wow.
Yeah, it was cool as shit. Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm asking about it. Yeah, no, I understand the Peabodys. I know it's a big deal.
And so then they do this thing where they whisk you away. Now, I've been whisked away with the stars of shows, and when they whisk you away for press and photographs, they're really there to talk to Kristen, which is perfect. Sure. Absolutely great. So if that's the case, and Letterman's coming on right after us, and now I'm like half backstage, like I can like hang out in the rafters and watch Letterman get his award as Steve Martin starts one of his great Steve Martin bits, right? Steve Martin wrote a great bit, such a Steve Martin like bit, where he gets up and tells the story of David Letterman. Every fact is completely wrong, like everything, like and there's stuff like we all know, like he went to Ball State and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. He's saying everything incorrectly, and then in the middle of it, you hear Letterman backstage on a microphone, correcting him exasperatedly, right? He goes, and then when David Letterman went to Harvard, Ball State, and then it was hilarious, right? And also, sure. Letterman's retired. This is it. You're not going to get to see him again. This is it, right? Yeah. So I literally snuck out of the photo shoot. Went down to the thing because I would rather watch this than have my picture being taken that no one will ever see. That's another thing too. You take these pictures, you see all the pictures of Kristen. No one's ever going to see my picture. I'm just sneaking away. So I'm sneaking away, and I'm standing there, and I'm in heaven because I'm at first row seat to see Steve Martin doing shtick. And then about 10 minutes into it, I swear to God, someone smaller than me, like, grabs me by the neck, this woman PA, and goes, "Get up there! You're not in the right place!" And really physically moved me. And as I was being dragged by my neck back up the stairs, Damon Lindelof, who I've not seen in years and years and years, goes, "Oh my God, Brian, I would never have recognized you in a suit unless you told me." Because I was sitting there watching, and I go, "Oh, look at that guy, looks like Brian." They go, "Oh my God, that's Brian. I've never seen you in a suit." So, and then that was the last I saw Damon. And then upstairs we went to and I missed the whole Letterman thing.
Is that on tape as well?
Yeah, we're sitting there. We're being talked to by the press. I'm watching the monitors behind the press of Letterman killing. So,
is it on YouTube, or do you have to go to the Peabody Awards website
YouTube,
to watch it?
You can see. I don't know if it's still up on YouTube, but Pivot has it on YouTube. So,
cool. Pivot's a great,
But sadly,
I like Pivot.
Our piece is edited down. So what I've just described to you, not all of it is there. So
okay,
yeah, but if she was very, very nice to me, and I know it, so that's all that matters. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, so it was very, very cool. And then,
do you have an award? Do you have a Peabody?
Yes. A couple weeks later, I get an email from Marvel saying, "Hey, listen, you're gonna have to sign for this one." Because I get a lot of shit from Marvel.
Sure.
But I had your Peabody is coming. I go, I'm getting one. Like, wow. I'm just happy to go to
yeah, exactly. The thing.
The steak was enough. So. Yeah, I do. On my wall of what is now referred to as the what wall, I have my Peabody next to my honorary doctorate and my.
Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah,
next to what?
I actually posted it on Instagram. People can see the thing. I did. When it came, I did post it because I'm that.
Because I saw your stage photos. Well, I don't live on your Instagram.
You should live on my Instagram. The cutest kids in the world.
I see a lot of that.
My son decided he wants to be Captain America. So offensive. So I wrote on Twitter yesterday, I go, does this kid not know that his college is being paid for by Iron Man? He's going to fucking dress like Captain America?
That's awesome. No, I saw the girls chanting with the older girls, and I can't remember what the chant was, but it was yesterday. Some sort of kid at the beach chant, I don't know.
Yeah. It was funny. It was cute. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very cute.
We just had one of those moments where the kids just started doing camp songs.
Exactly. Yeah, there you go. Exactly. I haven't been a camp in 30 years.
The Von Trapp family started. Von Trapp family. So, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So it's been again, just to preface for those of you who think I'm bragging, I never leave the house. I stay alone in my room, dealing with the kids, writing my stories, doing my stuff. It just so happens that lately, when I have left the house, it's been
big shit.
Yeah. So I do pick my moments very well. So
well, I don't know how often I'll have the opportunity to interview someone who has experienced the Peabodys and won a Peabody. So I want to hear it. At the very least.
I can't believe it. Yeah. And it's funny because the Peabody actually showed up at my house the day we found out Powers wasn't going forward to PlayStation. So I was like all excited to really get a good mope going. I was like, I'm going to mope like it's no one's business. I haven't moped in a while. I'm going to mope. And then the Peabody shows up and I'm, well, you can't really mope. It's a pretty good day.
I understand.
Yeah.
Is Sherman also on the award, or is it just Mr. Peabody? Thank you.
Oh my God. You've been sitting on that for like 3 weeks.
Thanks. No, actually, it just occurred to me, but that's fine. All right. There you go. Thanks. Well, that kills that.
I want this moment to sit there for a long time. I want to edit this.
Well, all right. So,
let's just sit quietly and think about what you just did.
Well, no, I feel bad, but the Scarlett stuff is moving, so that's cool.
No, Scarlett. Honestly, Scarlett is moving. Powers may live again. Who knows? Not to be fooling myself, but PlayStation's decision not to do original programming didn't have much to do with our what we were doing. So
that is the thing. They've just decided to leave the streaming platform, or at least in terms of creating their own content for that.
Well, again, listen, I have to preface this with everything anyone tells me in Hollywood ends up being not true. So they could announce their new programming next week for all I know, But,
okay. But as of now,
But as I've been told, no, I mean, and we can talk about this. I don't feel bad about it, other than the fact that like if we would have fucked up and not delivered the numbers we were told to deliver, then I'd been like, okay, you cancel us. We fucked up. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But there was a number we were given. We did 4 times that number, 7 times the number of our last season, which got us the second season. So here,
okay, and this is all on PlayStation. This isn't on Crackle yet, obviously.
Yeah, no, this is but like if you can look on YouTube, our first episode did like 4.7 million. You know,
first episode of the second
season, and that was just on YouTube, not in the other 10 places it was available.
Right,
and so that's that's an insane number to me because the book sells 30,000, and it's.
Say that again.
If the book sells like it's 30,000 at its top, it sold 55,000, like it's tippy top. So 55,000 versus 4.7 million, it's insane.
And people need to know that 4.7 million, that's more than like a CW episode of Supergirl.
It's more than Mr. Robot. It's more than Veep. It's more than
I was going to say.
And these shows don't crack a million, and I'm not shitting on any of them because I watch all of them. But there are buzzy shows on platforms that don't come near this. So we were all like, woohoo. And again, it didn't do those numbers on PlayStation. It was doing them elsewhere. So
on YouTube, and it was the first episode. No, I understand.
And so I'm not misspeaking. I don't want to say we had millions of viewers and they canceled us. But and
the PlayStation platform, you have to subscribe to it. So yeah, there's that as well. Okay, yeah.
And we were told when we were greenlit. The only thing the PlayStation was awesome with us top to bottom from beginning to end. The only thing that didn't come true that was part of the plan was that they were going to build a network, which was that we were the first show of what would be 5 shows. That we would be like, in the second season come out, there would be 2 new shows. And then on the third season, there would be 5 shows. You know what I mean? And that's how HBO built their original programming. Right now, that's what CBS is doing it with the Star Trek thing they're doing. And
oh, absolutely.
And that's what the plan was. And what Powers kept proving was that there was enough eyeballs worth doing it. But then it came time that they had to really make a decision about how much money they were willing to sink into this, because it wasn't just us. Now it's other shows, and it just became a lot of money. And they just decided to go elsewhere. I think virtual reality is where everyone's hedging all their bets, So,
in terms of scripted drama presented with virtual reality, or
what they want to offer their subscribers,
I see. Well, and that certainly makes more sense from a gaming standpoint.
And the other thing, and to be fair too, is that they greenlit Powers because Xbox had come out swinging with all this original programming they were going to do, and Xbox then folded and didn't do any of the original programming.
Right.
And I thought, they're going to cancel us, because the only reason they greenlit us is because we were Sony, we were ready to go, we were well within the PlayStation, whatever, you know what I mean, like genres,
Yes.
And we were there to compete, and there was no one to compete with, so why bother? But they didn't cancel us, and I was very grateful for that. And
I remember they mentioned there was going to be a Winter World Xbox TV show based on Chuck Dixon's old story.
Winter World, Warren Ellis had something going on, Halo was going on, all these documentaries.
Right.
All this stuff, all of it kind of looked interesting too, but something happened and they just stopped.
Well, did you read that Vulture article last week or 2 weeks ago about streaming television, and that, obviously, in fact, the FX chairman that I know you've quoted before, John
Landgraf.
John Landgraf, thank you. Couldn't remember his name. He's really smart in the article, and just talking about, there's like over almost 500, if not over 500 scripted dramas that are, being made when you include all the platforms, television, cable, streaming, online.
Hashtag
everything.
Peak TV. That is what they were talking about.
Yes, that is, So Vulture Peak TV, and you'll find this really great article. And it's fascinating. Who knew? Netflix spends $5 billion?
Oh, no,
and I guess that makes sense.
They're planning on it, spending.
Oh, is that what it was that they're planning on it? Okay.
That's they're ready to if they have to.
Okay, and that makes sense given that they're able to compete with movie studios to get, for better or worse, Adam Sandler movies or
for them it's better. Supposedly those Adam Sandler movies are streaming like crazy.
There you go.
So listen, I'm certainly not saying that Powers was the best show on television and they fucked us and blah blah blah. Nothing like the sort. I'm just describing what went on, and like literally.
Well, no, I want to. Yeah, the reasons why.
2 weeks before they pulled the plug, they had called us about doing virtual reality for Powers. They wanted to do a virtual reality of Powers, and we were like, well, we were thinking about what to do with that, and all very excited about using the technology. That was very exciting for us. So we were thinking, well, if they're talking about doing virtual reality, our third season is a no-brainer. And then business took over. It had nothing to do with us. But it's what you call a bummer. I did only because I was the experience of making it was very challenging in the best way. Like I'm like this. I've never experienced this before. This is interesting. Like working with actors and crafting a world that I was comfortable with in comics, and then finding the television version. It was all very interesting to me personally, and it was fun to share with Mike. And also I teamed up with a showrunner that I liked a lot. Like we all liked each other, and having, met and talked to so many other people, I knew how, once again, blessed I was. I mean, this is the thing I've been the most lucky with in my life, is that I met people at Marvel who I liked and we believed in each other. And then I met people in television that I liked and we believed in each other. And it makes life easier. You know what I mean? Like you can just sit and try to do the work. And I know there's many people who have not been as lucky as I have been in this instance, where they either run up against an editor who's just making their life a living hell, or they meet producers in television who are just coked up lunatics that are making their life a living hell.
Or radio.
But any medium, it happens where you're like, thank God I met the right person finally.
Yes, absolutely.
It's not like everyone I've met has been the right person. And usually when I meet bad people, I just shut down on them. I just walk away. But when you do meet people who you can learn from and that you like, it's super exciting. So I was in the middle of that with Raimi on Powers and all the people at Sony, and then we delivered. They told us the number we had to do, and we did it. And so if we didn't do the number, I would have been like, okay, sure. It's happened before. It'll happen again. You never know. But we did do the number, so I was bummed out that they pulled the plug on us. But that's show business, baby. So with the strength of our numbers, we'll see what Sony can do to find a way for us to keep going. If not, it's okay. Scarlett is up and running, and Jessica starts filming, and it's all good. It's not.
No, I understand. And truly, honestly, I really thought that the series got better in the second season. And I mean, it does take, we've talked about this before, in television in general, a lot of times the first season is a shakedown season, and you're really only finding your footing and what characters work and what story directions to go into. Maybe sometimes not until mid-season, or sometimes even the end of the first season. Yep. Like we've talked about, and I've just been reading about, again, in these 50-year mission oral history books.
I bought it, haven't read it yet.
They're fantastic. Well, and it's on that Chaos on the Bridge documentary that was on Netflix. Did you see that yet?
No, what's this?
Oh, go to Netflix.
Yes.
There's an hour-long special called Chaos on the Bridge.
What?
It's about the first 3 seasons of Star Trek The Next Generation. Oh. It is made and narrated by Shatner. It is very eye-opening in terms of the state of health and lucidity, if that's the proper word, of Gene Roddenberry during the entire 3 seasons.
Wow.
It is warts and all, and it's fantastic. It is fantastic.
My wife is going to...
She'll love it.
She's going to have another baby.
She will plot. Yeah. No, seriously, blew my mind. I've gotten to know, to a degree, on an acquaintance level, Rob Meyer Burnett, who made the Axanar movie that is the linchpin of the CBS and Paramount lawsuits against the one fan film that they are absolutely aiming at. And he was a little more defensive of the Roddenberry, I think, image than the documentary itself. But I think it's part of the story. And you also get that in the second volume of this 50-year mission oral history books. And, again, we're talking about Star Trek. They're amazing. I've literally done like 4 or 5 Star Trek shows in like the last month, because Discovery is very exciting, the new series that's coming out of CBS All Access.
Sure.
And also in this 50th anniversary, just some of these stories that have come out. And yeah, they talk to everybody, living and dead. They've got great Roddenberry quotes at the time and stuff. And it's really interesting to hear the next generation writers' perception of Roddenberry at that stage of his life. And yeah, watch Chaos on the Bridge. It's on Netflix now. It's under an hour. So yeah,
cool.
Yeah, no, you guys are gonna love it. You guys are gonna love it.
That's exciting.
Say this is what we do.
Let's say the biggest problem with Netflix though is that there is a lot of like hidden stuff on there.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, there's always shows like Stranger Things and that makes you go look for it, and then every once in a while, some friend of mine will go, "Hey, did you see this?" I'm like, "What? I didn't even hear about this." Yeah.
Oh yeah. Kurt Russell's dad and his Portland baseball team. That's an amazing documentary.
What?
The battered. Oh, see, the battered bastards of baseball.
Oh, I actually knew this one. Matt was talking to Greg Ruck about it in front of.
Oh yeah, no, and it makes sense that Matt loves it because I know he's a baseball freak. But yeah, Bing Russell, who was like the deputy on Bonanza on like 100 of their 500 episodes, is after he stopped acting and stuff, moved to Portland, and it's a great story about his minor league team. Watch the trailer, The Battered Bastards of Baseball, if you have any interest in it, listeners. That's another great one. And the Nina Simone documentary that was nominated for the Oscar, that was amazing.
Yep. Well,
so
yeah. So this is where this is where we are in the thing. So we'll see. We'll see what the future holds for Powers. Who knows?
What can you tell us about Scarlett in the meantime?
Scarlett, Cinemax. I just visited there. Just got the first draft of the pilot. It is it's a relief. It's always like you're about 10 pages in where you go, okay. you just want something you can start work with. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You don't want something to go, oh, it's a puppet show. There, it's good. And it's funny. As I said, like Scarlett was the one I prided myself on it being nothing that Hollywood wants. Like so many people are creating pitches that are obviously Hollywood pitches. These books are,
sure.
The Goonies meets Jurassic Park. I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it. You're selling, right? And that's fine, or it's not. Sometimes it's just that's what that person likes. But every once in a while, you come up with an idea that it just should be that comic, or it's told in a way that it's a comic book and nothing else. And we thought Scarlett was that, and then we found someone who was specifically looking for something as potentially dangerous as Scarlett is.
Well, and the real world continues to kind of mirror what you guys tapped into.
It's fucking crazy. Like literally, as we're working on this, actively working on this now, and we're all emailing back and forth with each other, and then every fucking 4 days, some insane shit happens, right?
Yeah.
You're like, oh my, wouldn't it be nice if this wasn't what the world was like? If this wasn't topical? This wasn't supposed to be topical. It really wasn't. So anyway, yeah. So
so with that in mind,
it's early going.
Okay.
So I don't want to say anything else other than fingers crossed and hope for the best. And I think obviously HBO and Cinemax makes kick-ass TV shows, and it was like I felt like I graduated TV college by having them buy this.
Much like Dina in Powers, is there a thought to change Scarlett to a person of color?
I don't know. We have talked about it. The thing of it is that if Scarlett, there's a plus and minus to both. If first of all, the best actor should get the part. That's my
of course.
If it's a person of color, the fear is then it just becomes about race. And it's more about corruption than race, even though race is a part of it because some of people in Scarlett's group suffered systemic racial problems with authority. But it's the overall that I'm interested in, the overall of corruption. And yes, and I even have a couple of people written me that they felt Scarlett was whitewashing the racial problems in this country. And I'm like, if that's the story that was being told. Yes, but that's not the story that's being told. What's being told is a problem with people abusing authority, and that does. And though the racial component is undeniable and overwhelming, I was looking at the overall. So we'll see.
I understand.
But both stories are damn worth telling. But we'll see what happens.
Sure.
What I've learned is to be zen and open to it. So we'll see. I mean, Susan's the best thing to happen to Powers, in my opinion. So Susan and Tricia Helfer. So I can't even express to you how much working with Susan has changed me for the better.
Cool. So, she's great. Yeah, she really is exceptional. Absolutely.
Behind the scenes, her gravitas and her level-headed, practical look at the racial problems in this world have been very. I don't know. It profoundly moved me, and it was fun to when all my older kids visited the set, but Sabrina, who's 8, an African American, gravitated to Susan, just like completely was empowered by just standing next to her. It was quite something, It wasn't just cool because she has brown skin. There's other people with brown skin in my daughter's life. It was just Susan's energy of a powerful woman was intoxicating to my kids. It was pretty cool.
Fantastic. Yeah. That's great, man.
So if a door like that opens again on Scarlett, I would be a fool to not embrace it. But then again, we're telling a story, and I want to tell the story that we're telling.
What's your level of involvement then? Obviously, it sounds a lot more direct than obviously Jessica Jones.
Same as Powers.
Okay,
I'm gonna run the show. There are better people for that, and I also know what it entails. And I gotta say, my interest in it is not that high. I like hiring people. I don't like firing people. And sure. I honestly, truly, I just want to write and create stories. And a show running involves a lot of business stuff, some of which I have to be part of as a producer. But I would rather my energies be put forth towards storytelling. So that's yeah. But again, next year I might tell you, oh my God, on the United States of Murder Inc. Netflix show. Well, there's none. I'm just saying I do want to,
sure,
because I feel I can do it now or something.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, and it sounds like it, obviously, that you've kind of learned new skills and how things work, so that you can take your.
I have, and by the grace of very excellent partners, Rami, patience and guidance as an elder statesman of television has been quite necessary to me, and it's also helped me. It's just you just meet people, just help you as a person and as a writer. You're just glad you met them. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
And being in the room with even Ben Edlund, who is in our writers' room, who runs the Tick.
Yes.
It just
Well, and all the shows that he's been involved with, Supernatural and Buffy and Angel.
Exactly. You just meet people who can do it, and you're like, I can do it. And then the similarities between show running a event at Marvel, or running the Iron Man books and running a show, there's a lot of similarities, talent management and whatnot, and so then I also allows me to come at some of the television stuff with a unique perspective, that like, we can maybe do it this way instead of that way, and that's cool too.
Understood.
Yeah. So, but I'm grateful that I'm now met another showrunner who will be named soon. Because I blew the Scarlett announcement so badly at the Austin Television Festival that I'm going to not name names right now. But our director and our showrunner on Scarlett also, they have to decide that they want me around. You know what I mean? That that I'm not being forced upon them, but then I'm a good thing in their lives, right?
Okay,
and
sure.
I had it with Raimi, and now I have it with the people on Scarlett as well. And you can tell when they really want you around. You know the difference.
I do. No, I appreciate
office
that.
Can tell when people want them around. And when I called her and I said, well, Powers isn't going, she said, good, I need you. And that's exactly what you want.
Wow, that's great. Wonderful.
What you want to hear.
Absolutely.
So
are they only making the pilot and then deciding if they're going to connect to series?
I don't know. It's the first episode is being written right now. And we'll see what choices they make. They could go right to series. They could, do nothing. They could,
sure. Okay.
They could make the pilot and sit on it for 2 years. All these things happen. So
I understand.
So
no, I'm psyched. I'm psyched for Quarry.
Yes.
Max Allan Collins series coming up on Cinemax,
yes.
And certainly Westworld and Brubaker involved in Westworld and everything.
Now, what am I happy about is that when the new person took over, they kept us. Some things did not get kept. A lot of things got tossed.
The new showrunner took over and kept.
No, I mean the new person running the HBO networks.
What's his name or her?
I'm not going to get into all that.
All right, that's fine. We can look that up on Google.
But no, I was grateful they kept us because they could have said,
"Oh yeah,
no." But
that's an old Hollywood story. A new studio regime comes in exactly, and whatever the old person had, that's all dead.
And 2 weeks from now, someone could take over PlayStation and go, "Hey, wait, why did we cancel Powers?" And then we got a call. That happens too, where shows get canceled and then uncanceled, and the people involved have no idea what the fuck happened. Almost everyone I know has a story like that. So you never know.
Yeah, honestly, television has never been more fascinating than it currently is.
Yep.
In terms of the options and the platforms, and like I said, read that Vulture article, and it'll really give you a good idea of the playing field, because I can appreciate even a listener or a viewer not knowing what all is entailed.
And I'm truthfully very happy to be a passenger on the ship.
Sure.
It's fascinating to watch. The similarities between this and comics are very interesting. I wonder what comics is going to be like in 5 years based on some of the stuff that's going on. So we'll see.
What do you think?
I think that someone needs to make some bold moves into alternative publishing situations. Everyone's focusing on the different voices that are telling their stories. But I think with the voices that are telling the different stories, also there needs to be new venues in which these books are sold to, and I would like to see that.
New venues outside of the direct market.
Yes, or reinvigorated direct market with different rules to it. It's very funny.
Sure.
A week ago, somebody asked me, "Hey, I'm really bummed out that David Walker's Nighthawk got canceled." And obviously David's a good friend of mine, and we knew it a couple weeks before that.
Uh-huh.
What could we have done to make this not happen? And I'm like, well, the only thing you can do at this stage is pre-order. Right? You pre-order the book. It lets the store know you want it. It lets the store place an order for you. Then that order goes to the publisher, to the distributor, and then your support, and sometimes if like two people order a book that isn't going to get a lot of shelf space, the store then goes, oh, maybe I'll order 3 for the shelf. And that's the difference between life and death of a store. Now, I did not create the direct market. I did not, but when I said, all you can do is pre-order, this is the way the system's set up right now, people just screamed at me.
Was this on Tumblr?
Yeah, Twitter.
Okay, go on.
Yeah, screamed at me. Oh,
what'd they say?
Well, I'm an asshole because my books have never been canceled. Not true. I'm an asshole for celebrating this broken system. And I'm like, guys, you asked me a fucking question. That's the fucking answer. You can scream at me all you want. It's still the fucking answer. What you can do? Buy 40,000. Oh, the other thing you can do is buy 40,000 copies. Buy 40,000 copies. They'll keep making them. They don't care how many.
Is that the demarcation line? 40,000?
I don't know.
Honestly, but I would be.
Truthfully, it depends on the book. Depends on how much the talent costs.
Because I know David Gabriel obviously does give you guys numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the budget of the book, and it's
budget
that
on
kind
the
of
book and what they want to do with the resources of that book. Like, let's say they got a book, and oh my God, that artist on that book's not doing well, but that artist or that writer is really, really coming into their own. So you know what we'd like to do is take this this person off of let's just say Nighthawk. And Walker hates when the example, but and put him on Avengers.
Sure,
because he's killing it, right? And now he's on Avengers.
Yes.
So yeah, it's
yeah,
the Nighthawk
David's doing great,
but he's on Avengers. You know.
Yes.
And so that that's what happens when they just decide that the resources could be used elsewhere. And also, I happen to know that Dan Buckley's mantra about this stuff is different than most people's in that, hey, just make Iron Fist until you're done, and then you have a cool Iron Fist book that never got shitty. Like
Right.
Like Matt, he always used Matt and Ed's thing. Like, good, Iron Fist never got bad because you just ended it when they were done. And Jessica Jones just ended it when it was done. And Hawkeye just ended and then you have a lovely book that never jumped the shark, you know. And what's wrong with that? And he goes, even if it goes 6 issues or 10 issues, all right, it wasn't the biggest seller role, but you know what? You had a nifty fucking book, and it was good from beginning to end. Boom, done. We'll move on to the next one. That's not a terrible attitude, to be honest with you.
Right, and also it's not the last time that Nighthawk necessarily will be in a fucking book. Absolutely,
of course not.
Hell, I remember I'm a huge Iron Fist fan, and whatever that last miniseries was, and maybe it was there to just maintain the trademark, who knows? But yeah, whatever that last miniseries was before Ed and Matt's version, I loved it. I enjoy what Carrie Andrews has been doing.
Yes.
I
love Carrie Andrews.
Yeah, he's great. And man, I really love talking to him.
While we're talking?
What's that?
Are you tweeting while we're talking?
No. Seriously, what you have to understand is my blog.
I'm looking at Twitter while we're talking?
Yeah, clearly, that's what happens, because then my blog will come out after midnight or something.
Your blog just tweeted.
Right, exactly. And that's why he always has some sure listeners.
Boring the shit out of always tweeting about other interviews. And
do go on. This is most interesting.
So I wish Carrie Andrews was here. Anyway. So
he has a great perspective. God, not only as a filmmaker, comic book maker, but as a Canadian filmmaker, and tells me about how hard it is to get Canadian films made, or how easy it is compared to the American system. I love it.
I truthfully hope I get to work with him the next couple of years. We've talked back and forth.
Oh, that's cool.
He's on my my Dan Hip list of one day.
God, I love Renato Jones, his Image book. It's a really great story.
Yeah, it was very nice he sent it to me early, and I was like, oh, this is good.
But that's the problem right now, is there are so many great books, and
Peak Comics.
Yeah, it is Peak Comics. It truly is. And I mean, even Aftershock, I'm amazed at a lot of these that new company and a lot of their books. I'm like, oh, these are good ideas.
Yeah, I truthfully haven't seen any of them. So I haven't even physically seen them. So
well, I'm hoping I'm talking to Mark Waid next weekend, and
all right, let's see what he has to say.
And no Captain Hero. Oh, he knows, and he's like, oh, really? You think I talk like that? And he corners me. And I no, Mark, everything's great.
No, but it is true. Well, the funny part was, someone asked me a question, I give the answer. I'm like, fuck you. I'm like, fuck me. That's the answer. Right. Yeah, but. Of course, back in 1978, I invented the direct market.
Yes, I recall.
Specifically, Nighthawk would only
would fail. Exactly. No, I know.
And it finally came to fruition, but it's just so wacky, man. It's just and I get it. But just because I have a book that's doing all right doesn't mean I have all the answers. Or the other thing is if Marvel would stop making stuff like Civil War, Nighthawk would be in a top 10 book. I'm like, no, it's not how it works.
I understand.
Yeah, so, You
want to move on to Civil War?
Sure.
We're in the halfway point.
Yeah.
Obviously.
First of all, let's talk about the delay, which was sad in Civil War, and not sad because David Marquez and Tara, good friends of ours, had a baby.
Yeah,
that baby, and then and she tweeted about all this, so it's not like a secret, but she broke her leg while she was pregnant, which sucks, and a lot of burden on Dave. She's fine. She's all fine now.
Okay, yeah, no, I didn't know that.
That's put a lot on the partner, and hilariously, similar thing happened to us, that my wife broke her leg right after she had given birth, and so she literally. We gave David and Tara, my wife's wheelchair, like they switched bodies or something. It was really weird. So, but it did slow him down a bit right as the book gets really hard to draw, which is the big fight scenes and everybody in the world and they're all crashing into each other. So it's a bummer. It's a couple weeks late and it just kind of, popped the balloon for some people. And I always feel bad about that, but 5's off to the printer, 6 is coming. It'll ship, and I do apologize for the delay, but this is a perfect example of people yelling at me, and I didn't do anything. I didn't knock anybody up. I didn't trip anybody. I had nothing to do with this, but I always get yelled at. I don't have a problem with it. I do understand a reader who is like, hey, I'm committed to a 7-issue series, and now you're telling me it's an 8-issue series. That's my fault. This is totally my fault.
So talk about that.
So, with the time, I'm looking at it, and I thought of a cooler way to do some of the ending parts, and it needed more pages. And so I started playing around with it. And I handed in a new issue 7 that ended on a cliffhanger instead of an ending. Okay. And I said, do you like this more or less? If you like this more, let's talk about how to do it.
You saying David or are you saying Tom?
To Tom and Axel.
Oh, okay.
If you don't like it more, then we'll forget. No one will ever know that I did this, right? And I showed it to them. And then my favorite Vulcan, Tom Brevoort, said, yeah, I think we can make this work.
Okay.
But we really got to rush that solicitation for 8 because we weren't ready for it. And I go, and by the way, I'm sorry. And I know some people would just be like, oh, you were just ill prepared and unprepared and blah, blah, blah. No. The ending is the same ending. The ending, all the new books that are launching are reliant on this ending. So the ending hasn't changed. So some people heard new ending, we rewrote. It's just a different way to tell it that I liked more, that I thought was better used in comics, Are
the new books going to come out before the ending?
Some of them will, but not. It won't spoil anything.
I understand. I guess. Okay. I mean, and then yeah, that's fine.
No, so the big wahoo happens in issue 7, but there's still
to ignite these new books.
Yes.
Go on.
Yeah. So much like igniting all the tie-in books on Secret Wars, what happened in issue 2, right? He actually wrote issue 2 before he wrote issue 1, when Hickman was doing it. So that's how much people needed that issue, Okay. And similar here is that I'm sorry adding an issue it's annoying, but here's the truth, and it's really the truth. It's not science. It's art. It is.
Sure.
Even when superheroes are beating the shit out of each other, it's art. All right. I care a lot about the characters. I care about the way the story's told. Here's a way that's a little more interesting to me. And thankfully to Tom and Axel, by the way, they fully had the right to say to me behind the scenes, dude, come on, just go do Jessica and leave us alone. And they didn't. So, and not because they're squeezing another issue out of this, because
sure, that's the other suspicion. Obviously.
I know, but not if you really pay attention to how these things work. They could squeeze another Star Wars out. It doesn't have to be this.
I understand.
Issue out of, you know what I mean? If God forbid they had to squeeze something, there's 50 other things to squeeze. They could squeeze. I know this is getting very sexual.
No, but please go on. Yeah, what other things can they squeeze? Can you say it slower in a breath of your voice, please? Go on.
Yes. But I always nah. There's so much to really be conspiratorial about in this world, and an next issue with Civil War really isn't it, And I was like, all right, if you want to, listen, you got some people are just gonna be mad at me about something, so
sure.
Let this be it.
Well, and I think I'm just covering bases in terms of why didn't you ask him? Because there are the conspiracy theories.
By the way, I'm saying to you, I didn't say online, but I do know that when people hear us talking, they seem to believe me more.
But but that's the thing. I think that is the beauty of doing this on audio and stuff, is that you can hear it in your own words and you can kind of cover these questions.
You can hear it. What do you mean? What do you think? What do you mean?
Nathan Thurm.
It's so crazy you would say that. I didn't say there was an next issue. You said there was an next issue. So and it was a dick move of mine. It was a dick move to Tom and Axel. I'll be very clear. But it was done in the sake of creativity, not in the sake of, hey, fuck everybody, do what I say. I did. I said, hand this in. I go, am I wrong? And they agreed with me. And there's been times where they didn't. This one they agreed with me with. So.
No, I understand. Well, and again, the problem with late events is not, just this instance, and maybe that's another reason why. Sometimes it's like, here we go again, because it did happen with Secret Wars.
It did happen with Secret Wars, completely different.
I don't remember if it happened with Original Sin, which I think was the last big event prior to Secret Wars.
It didn't happen to Avenger vs. X-Men. It didn't happen on Secret Invasion. I truthfully, I've said this out loud. I was sure that some of the reason that me and David were teamed up to do this event was because we haven't missed in like 6 years, right? We haven't deadline. So this will make up for Secret Wars, because these two guys, they never miss, and now we missed. So, okay. But it's not a giant miss. It's like a 2-week miss.
Whatever. Yeah. Is 5 coming out in October, or is it coming out?
It's coming out like in a week or two.
Okay.
Yeah, it's coming.
That's cool.
And people will see, and it's so funny because it literally is every panel. It's the big battle issue, and every panel has like 30 people in it. It's a lot to draw.
This is 5 you're talking about.
He rolled up. He was so excited to make this like his Barry Windsor Smith Machine Man issue 4. Like, this is going to be like my fight scene, right? And it is. Sure. It's great. It's tremendous. You see it, but you can't breeze through it. It's hard to draw.
I understand. No, that's cool.
And it's not just there's people fighting, and there's armor, and there's raccoons and tree people. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. And
everybody's on stage.
Excellent. Yeah.
Say it again. Say that.
And you want to do all of it excellent. That's all.
Certainly. Okay.
It's and we're also aware, like the whole time. I'm not saying that Civil War II will sell what Civil War I sold, but all of the events that I've ever written have been in print constantly. So, like, House of M is still in print, right? So Civil War II may be in print in 20 years, and David wants it to be something he's very proud of. And if he needs another week to do it, that's fine. Okay. I'd much rather have that than Infinity Gauntlet, where we still all wish George Perez had finished it.
Understood. I've got a question regarding the story, because it's something that came up online. I didn't agree with this, but someone put it out there that they feel that Captain Marvel is not acting like herself in this story.
And I could point to the opposite as well, and that is the magic
with Tony.
And that is the magic and frustration of doing a story that like a Civil War, where their sides will be chosen, and both sides have deep, diehard fans, and both Tony and Carol have fan bases, legit,
yes, they do,
gigantic fan bases. Much of Tony's fan base involves around him making out with Steve Rogers, and I'm okay with that. You're gonna laugh, man. I really wish there was a way for you to log into my Tumblr account and look at my Tumblr Q&A questions. More people are angry that Steve and Tony, legit angry, that Steve and Tony have not made out than they are about War Machine dying. And that's a fact.
Right? That's insane. Well, and again, I know the Cap needs a boyfriend thing that came out of Civil War and certainly Winter Soldier, but is that where you think it stems from?
No, it's Tumblr and Stony. It's called Stony. And
Sony, that's their slash fiction. That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm all in it now, but I'm
Sony, fantastic.
I'm deep in it, and I swear to baby Jesus, if I could find a way to end this series with those two making out, just so I could be the hero of Tumblr for 45 seconds, I would do it.
I understand. Well, I think it's honestly.
Let me answer the thing.
Please go ahead.
So the premise of this series, of this story, is that there's a moral line in the sand, and Carol's picked her side and Tony's picked his side, and more information comes out every other issue that changes the line, that moves the line.
Sure.
All right. So one issue you might go, Carol is being a super strident military asshole by not listening. And then the next issue you might be like, oh my God, Tony, listen to Carol. Carol's right. Like it's made to push those buttons. It's literally created for whose side are you on? And instead of whose side are you on, and the first Civil War was whose side are you on the first issue, and those are the sides, and they never right. And I wanted to, and in my first document it says, wouldn't it be interesting if we kept moving the line so the audience who said, and I had people before all they saw was a cover and they decided whose side they were on, right?
Sure.
And to challenge them as readers with which side they want to be on now. And sometimes in the whole issue, 6 pages later, now whose side are you on? Now whose side are you on? I specifically created it for that, knowing full well that there would be people who couldn't get past that I'm an asshole for doing this to them. And I know that. I knew it. I'm happy. I'm okay with that as well. I really, really am. Because I know where it's coming from, of love of character.
Certainly.
And I'm an wrestling character, and that's fine. But so by the end of issue 5, those Carol people might feel completely different. Like, oh, now I know why Carol's, you know what I mean? Or you know what? Tony's wrong. Carol, like it could go in any way. But for the next, we're only halfway done. And for the next half, you may have different feelings all the way to the very end. I have something. Tony does something in issue 7 that was added in the new rewrite that I said. I wonder who would be on Tony's side now. So all of so the challenges are still coming. So
cool.
And by the way, there's other people who like, and I've seen some of these arguments where they go, well, both Tony and her are recovering alcoholics, and someone who literally says Carol's #1 fan said, when was Carol an alcoholic? They only know like the last 2 years of history, and that's okay too. Yep. I'm not.
Well, it is. Go on.
No. It is okay because you shouldn't be punished for not knowing stuff, right?
No, I realize that, but go on.
But I have an issue coming up in Iron Man where Tony and Carol.
Do they go to a meeting?
That history, I don't want to ruin it, but that history
is explored.
I think very lovingly. So anybody who thinks I have an in for Carol, which is hilarious. May feel different or may feel worse. Like some people get mad when you bring up continuity. Like don't stop talking about Tony's alcoholism. Like never mention it because it ruins it for me. That's what they write me.
Well, the Hank Pym, the Hank Pym abuse thing, I think gets that kind of rap as well. Sure,
absolutely. Don't bring it up.
Yes,
I'm gonna. And a story when a story like Civil War is so wide and there's so many tie-ins, it allows investigation into character. Those are the best tie-ins are where you go, well, that story would never have happened if not for the event. So I'm excited for those coming out.
Well, I also think that readers get comfortable of a heroic portrayal of a character. And as much as they say they don't want the same story over and over again, they also get angry when a character flaw shows up And sometimes heroes are people, and people make wrong choices.
Yeah,
and that needs to be interesting as well. And I think it's only gender equal to say, hey, guess what? The female heroes sometimes make mistakes too.
Well, a famous writer, there's that writer's tweeter that I retweet all the time because they always have these great quotes. But I think I forget who said it, but someone along the lines of Ernest Hemingway said the worst thing you can do is to make the mistake of making your character perfect. Like and I think that applies
to everybody.
But for some of the people upset that Carol has drawn a line in the sand, I think that would that would apply to not to all people who feel that way, and some people just don't like the way I write her, and that's okay too. But I would refer back to pre-Kelly Sue, pre-Brian Reed, in House of M. One of my big takeaways was that Carol leaves that event knowing she has the potential to be the greatest hero in the Marvel Universe, and her quest is to become that. That has always been my goal for Carol. You know,
I remember you saying that during House of M.
Yeah, I could have been. And that is how I feel about her, like personally as a writer, that she has the potential to be the greatest of all of them. She has just as much problems and things standing in her way as the rest of them, but her potential is enormous. And because of House of M, she felt it. She felt what it felt like to be the premier superhero of the Marvel Universe. So that's what I write into when I write her, is that she legitimately is aiming towards the purest, best goal, is to be the best version of herself. And that's where I'm at with the characters. So when people don't like what I'm doing with her, I'm like, it's a journey. It's a quest. She's going to stumble, but it's a lofty goal, man. She's headed towards it. So
sure.
That's why I'm at.
No, I understand. No, I get it. And I mean, that's why, as great as it is following Jane Foster's story in Thor, I am fascinated by what happens to, I always like saying it, the Odin son, when he's no longer Thor. Mm-hmm. And I think that's really a fun, interesting, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, no, give these people these kinds of obstacles to get over. I mean, that's, like you said, that's the hero's journey. So,
truthfully, it's very funny. And it's so, it's flattering at the same time that, like, I mean, we've talked about, like, people constantly, and because so many people read it now, too, I'm constantly being harangued about why I'm so mean to Matt Murdock. Why were you so mean to him? And truthfully, the greatest thing about the Netflix shows, by the way, is that both Daredevil and Jessica have an audience way vaster than they did when I first put them out.
Sure,
you never know that's going to happen. So a that they're being read, and that they seem to be aging well, because that's another thing. Like you're not hyperly thinking about while you're writing. Like, I hope this ages well. You can't know, other than don't do Freddie Prinze Jr. jokes. But I know, little bit. So it's nice. So I'm constantly getting mail about why am I so mean to the characters, and then I'll get why are you so mean to Matt Murdock from someone, and then 2 hours later I'll get why are you so mean to Tony Stark, and it's basically the same complaint. Is that why?
Yeah.
Why am I giving them interesting things to do? Yeah,
I understand. So. Well, let's stick in Civil War and talk a little bit about Miles' role, obviously.
Yeah.
Traumatized by the Hulk experience, and meanwhile the Abuelita is got Jessica on her tail and everything.
Yes, more people, and I know what you're focusing on, but more people are so worried about Miles and Spider-Gwen.
Tell me about that.
Okay, well, we released a cover or two that coming after Civil War. Jason Latour and I are embarking on a sort of team up, a different way to do a crossover, and it involves all kinds of high stakes adventure and interdimensional hopping, and there is some kissing involved. And we put out the kissing cover of her Spider-Gwen,
of course,
Spider-Man kissing. And hilarious amount of Miles is 15 years old and she is 27, and like neither one of us are the right age, and it's just very funny that.
Oh, and we're honestly, I'll confess, because I'm really happy for Jason and Robbie. They really are two of my favorite people in comics. I've known Jason since almost day one when he was working with B. Clay Moore on the Expatriate.
Sure.
In the Image days and stuff like that. So I'm really happy for both of them. Good guys. But yeah, what is Spider-Gwen supposed to be a teenager? I haven't been reading it, I'll confess. I think it's great that it's happening.
Is, but there's that legal line that the like 18, like who's over 18, who's under 18.
Right.
And
right. Is she over 18?
Yes.
Okay.
And,
wow.
What? And
oh my, the Mary Sue must be erupting over this information. Oh my God.
But hilariously, people write us like we don't know. We know. You know, like we spend like you read the book half hour a month. I'm with it all day long, every day. I know how old he is. You don't have to yell at me about how old he is. I know. Anyways,
that's why it's like fucking let him tell the story.
It's so funny. It's flattering.
That way too. Go ahead.
It's flattering. You care. I'm flattered. Sure. But have some, trust, a little tiny bit of trust that we have a story to tell. So, yeah. But
right, and that's the thing. Covers are supposed to shock you and demand your attention and make you read the book.
Yep.
I know. And again, because I've been getting my flack on Twitter lately has been that I don't critique books enough, and it seems like God, every time you have somebody on, all you do is praise them, and it's like, well, yeah, because I like the books. You know what books I don't like? The ones I don't have the people, the ones that don't make it a word balloon, because either I'm not reading them or I don't like them.
Well, and also, God forbid you have a positive outlook on life.
Yeah.
So
also, based on what we've been talking about, I'm more interested in what's happening with the business of comics, the business of this media stuff as well as the stories. And by the way, I have my fanboy moments as well when Roberto Aguirre Scarza was writing Fantastic Four and had them broke and living in the tenement and stuff. I'm like, bullshit. I didn't like the story. I'm like, sorry, that just doesn't make sense to me. And I didn't have to like let the social media world know how much I hated it. But it's like, no, I get like that, or I just get indifferent. Like I said, Spider-Gwen, hey, that's awesome. They found a way to make another female hero, and it's Gwen Stacy, who I love. But am I reading it? No.
I actually think you kind of like it. It's actually it's unique.
Well, Jason's great. No, that's the thing. I'm
also
so happy.
Robbie's visuals.
Absolutely,
it's a unique book. It's one of the most indie-looking mainstream books. Or feeling. I should say looking, feeling.
Sure.
I just power read like a bunch of issues, and I'm reading the Spider-Woman crossover right now. So there's a lot of
Hopeless is another one. I love Hopeless. I love what he's doing with Spider-Woman. That's great. I'm you can only read and buy so much, and it's like, all right, well, when I get those guys on, I'll do my deep dig and do that. I got to get Marvel Unlimited. I really do. Here's a commercial for you, kids.
Yeah, and then in 6 months you can talk to them.
Exactly. Well, no. Well, then I buy. It'll only be the 6 issues.
I think I told you this. It's so funny about Marvel Unlimited because they'll dump like a year's worth of your book 6 months later onto the service, right? So like I'll wake up to like a new wave of Iceman stuff. I'm like, what? What?
Sure. Right.
And to them it's brand new, right? So they come the mail is very like raw and fresh, but you're like, wait, did something happen? And it's always just Marvel Unlimited.
That's cool. Well, yeah, my most recent issue of I want to say Spider-Man was like 7, I think.
Yeah, it just came out.
Okay, good. All right, well then I'm caught up. All right,
that's cool. And that you just read the work of Nico Leone, by the way.
Oh, there you go. No, it looks great.
Yeah, he's very, very talented and very, very interesting. And my biggest high class problem in comics is that there is at least 6 artists that I want to actively be working with that I can't because there's just so many books in the world,
I understand.
that my books are very well cast right now, and but he's someone I would easily do a monthly book with if I had the what you call it there, the bandwidth. The bandwidth is the word I was looking for.
I respect that. There you go. All right, let's talk Iron Man.
Yes, Iron Man. So we got two things going on Iron Man. We got
yes, you do.
We got Riri Williams taking over as Ironheart, and that first issue I can't wait for people to see, because you're going to find out what makes her tick. You're going to find out what's unique about her. I'm very, very excited about it. The response to her, almost sight unseen, has been one of the great joys of my life. Absolutely. There's even at Dragon Con, there was a couple of Riris running around Dragon Con this week.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, the book's not even out yet. It's insane. And I just feel very, very good about it. Hilariously, I've gotten some tweets from African American women worried about her hair, worried about my knowledge of African American women's hair and how I'm going to blow it.
Because of the helmet and stuff like that?
But meanwhile, it's so funny that before anyone even knew she existed, I had already worked out all the hair stuff. And I know people roll their eyes when I throw my kids out there, but it's about my perspective of the world, right? I have been dealing with African American women's hair for 8 solid years. 8 years. We've made every mistake white parents can make. We've fixed every mistake that we've made, and our daughter's hairs look amazing. All right.
Cool.
I know about the silk pillows. I know about everything. So when people go, if I don't see a silk pillow, I'm like, both my daughters are sleeping right now in silk pillows. I know about the silk pillows. So it's just very funny. And you don't even know.
Interesting. No, I saw good hair. I assumed that I did know a little bit about African American hair based on Chris Rock's documentary, but go on.
Good hair, which I highly recommend.
It's an amazing movie.
Yeah, amazing, funny movie. It's an eye-opener to white people.
Indeed. It's like, can I say that even whiter? Yes. Go on. Indeed.
But may I say, as someone who's raising 2 African American women, as complicated as that universe looked in that thing, it's just the tip of the iceberg to the reality.
Okay.
So, and literally one of my daughters is a toddler. You wouldn't believe the amount of work.
Aw, yeah.
Yeah. And by the way,
awesome. And I know Sabrina's name. What is the toddler's? Oh, that's right, Tabitha, of course.
Tabitha's hilarious. Tabitha and Tallulah Deconic Fraction are best buddies. They're hilarious together. I adore these girls. But Tabitha, some parents will know you're talking about, like, she was very different at 2 than she is now at 5. And at 5, she is just, at 5, you get to see what kind of person they're going to be. Not the full thing, right?
I hear
you kind of get a sense of their energy. Boy, Tabitha just, she gets me.
Is London 2 now?
London is 3.5, and London is very much a boy. And that's another thing too. Having raised women for 13 years, this boy energy is a real pain in the ass. Many times, this kid just with the same look of love that my daughters hug me, he comes up and punches me in the balls, and he does it with love. He loves me. Sure. He comes up and goes, "Daddy," boom, right in the balls, and that's how he wants to express himself. And for people who don't like my books and want me to be punched in the balls, it happened today numerous times. If that makes you feel any better about how I wrote Carol, is that someone punched me in the balls today? It happened. So, but he's right there at that level, and he just takes a shot at there. But he went through a huge Star Wars phase that will come back. Star Wars isn't over.
Sure.
But we're in between movies right now. I can't remember if I told you that we accidentally found the Transformers movies. Did I tell you this?
No.
Hilariously, I'm in my office. The TV's on, like it is right now, with the sound off.
Okay.
I'm working on an email. He's standing in my doorway. He goes, "Daddy." I go, "What?" And lo and behold, it's the Michael Bay Transformers movie. I didn't know it was on the TV. He sees a robot turn into a truck, if you're 3 years old, that's the fucking coolest thing you've ever seen. And it looks real. It looks like it really happened, right?
Sure.
And he goes, Daddy, what is this? And he sat his ass down. And I go, those are alien robots that turn into trucks. I'm in, right? So now I'm back in Michael Bay world against my right? And I'm like, Jesus, right? I know. And you're like, fuck, goddamn, right? And then and then like at least someone had the decency to put YouTube clips together of just the best fights.
Oh, that's cool.
Because they are well made. It's just everything with fucking
Shia
LaBeouf and the Orange Girl are it's so hard.
Is that the supermodel after Megan Fox?
No, Megan Fox is orange. She said they spray painted her orange to be in the movie. Like that's not what color she is. And
that's hilarious.
And she talked about Michael Bay was done with her. That's the reason she's not in the third movie.
Right.
She said, I'm sick of being spray painted orange. I think I'm getting cancer. And
that's hilarious.
And then they made up, and now she's in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies, which
sucked.
Yes, but then he found them. He found the turtles, and so he went one from one Michael Bay fuckfest to the other Michael Bay fuckfest.
Yeah, well, that's like Zack Snyder. I mean, what can I fuck up today?
It's so
and I loved Watchmen. I say that all the time, but yeah, I don't know.
He was all into the turtles. And I'm not gonna deny him his turtles. You know what I mean? That's not my job. He loves them and I got him a little costume. He's running around dressed as a turtle. He's having the best time, right?
Okay.
And also, he's the littlest, so you want him to have as much identity as you can give him, right? Because sometimes it's tough on the little ones. They're being like escorted places all the time. It's rarely about them. It's sad,
Sure.
So, but last week he discovered Spider-Man and Captain America, which is hilarious because they're all over the house. There's Spider-Man shit everywhere in this house from my 17 years writing the book, right?
Sure.
And he was aware of Spider-Man. Something clicked in him that he loves Captain America the most, that he loves Captain America. And I'm so eager to get out of the Michael Bay hole that I've been stuck in for the last 6 months, that I think is adversely affecting my writing, that I've embraced the Captain American-ness full blast, and that's why you'll see the pictures of him in his Captain America outfit, and you'll see him at Rose City Comic Con this weekend in his Captain America outfit.
Fantastic.
Yes.
That's awesome.
But it's hilarious. It's very, very.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Back to Iron Man.
Yes. Oh, yes.
We diverted. No. It was a good transition. It was a good tangent. I love that shit.
I love my kids. Anyway,
no, it's okay. And we talked about how Michael Bay sucks, so it's all right.
The Riri announcement got 2 billion impressions.
Jesus Christ.
Yes, that is what everyone at Disney said.
Even Ike?
I didn't hear from Mike, but
okay.
I'm sure he's happy. But it is the most viewed story that's come out of publishing, and it's hard to say why, because there really hasn't been a slow news week in a while. I'm thinking, God bless our orange overlord.
Excellent, and you're gonna love it.
Yes, and that was scary good. That was as good. That was good as your Walter Matthau. That was Saturday Night Live audition good.
Let me tell you. All right.
Oh, okay, you're freaking me out.
I know. Believe me, I've been having a lot of fun with Art and Franco on our podcast doing that. I talk about this comic book. I like the Eternals. I think that's your best Kirby work.
Oh my God, you're freaking.
I don't like the FF. I'm sorry. There's too many people of color on that team.
The loser
but go ahead.
Sad.
Go. Actually, he should like the FF because he and the Thing are the only two orange people in existence. So that's true.
There's also
and Megan Fox
and the annoying orange and So the response has been overwhelmingly beautiful. I mean, just truly beautiful. I mean, there was some pushback on that. I'm not an African American woman, and I am sorry about that. But boy, the response has been just phenomenal. And Robert Downey Jr. Tweeted the cover and a big thumbs up, which I was then.
Oh, that's great.
So nice, but it created a false narrative that she was replacing him in the movies. And I ended up with about 45 headshots from African American women who want the role. And it was weird. It was like, so no one actually read the article. They just saw the headline. And it was like, if you read the article, you see right away it's a comic book. And it even says in the article, Robert Downey Jr. is still going to be Iron Man, but in the comics, you know what I mean? And,
sure.
and it was weird, like it was like more headshots I got, and I actually have shows. So I always feel weird about it because you want to write back and go without making people sound stupid that they went to this effort to audition for something that there's nothing.
Wow,
for.
yeah.
So it's a weird feeling. You know what I mean? Because I don't know.
Well, it was similar to the Miles Morales reaction, I think, when they said, "Hey, we're rebooting Spider-Man," and all of a sudden there was this little, more than just a few people saying, "Hey, what about Miles?"
Yeah, it should have been Miles, but anyway. So, but my point is, it's a lovely thing, and the downside of so there was this first wave of press and it was great, and then there was a second wave and like they did 10 minutes of it on Good Morning America, and that was all cool, and other people started tweeting about it, and then I ended up like on the cover, the front page of the leading neo-Nazi website. And hilariously, I didn't know this website existed. And I just happened, unrelated, to be watching, I love these showrunner roundtables they do on The Hollywood Reporter. I recommend it to any writer. They're there for awards, campaigning. But within them is a lot of information and interesting anecdotes about craft and the business. They do it with the actors, they do it with the writers. And the showrunner runs for both comedy and drama were very good this year. And listen,
are they videos or are they audio or are they
videos?
print?
You can watch them right now. The Hollywood Reporter has them, and on the and I put on the drama one, and Melissa Rosenberg's on there, who runs Jessica Jones, and
right.
I'm just listening to it while I'm cleaning my table or something, and she says, it was so upsetting when me and Brian were on that Nazi website. And I was like, what? I didn't know I was on a Nazi website. I literally heard about it watching this forum. Like I never heard about it before. She never, in the times we've spoken, ever mentioned it to me personally, but she mentioned it on the show. And I went, we were on a fucking Nazi website because of Jessica Jones. Cut to 3 days later, I'm actually on the cover of this thing, and the only reason I found out about it is because 35 Nazis decided to hammer me on Twitter at 3 o'clock in the morning. Which at the time, when it's like 30 Nazis hitting you, you feel like you've gone insane, like, oh, the world's gone batshit crazy, right? And there it was, me on the cover with Holocaust shit photoshopped on me with the
lovely,
excellent headline: Jew writer creates Negress Iron Man. Now, I
was going to start with Jew writer, so that doesn't surprise me.
Jew writer, but Negress is not a word I'd ever heard before.
That's it. That's a Star Trek original series.
Is that really? Okay.
The Savage, I think it was called The Savage Curtain, where Lincoln, the aliens remake Lincoln because they know that's Kirk's hero, and he is introduced to Lieutenant Uhura, who refers to her as a charming negress.
Okay.
And everyone is shocked when he says it. And he's like, I don't mean any harm.
I like to take
and I don't mean to mock it in any.
No. It's ridiculous and right.
It is a crazy word. Yeah.
I find it hilarious that I don't think you realize that how much of the world you now put through the Star Trek prism. So anyway.
It's just ironic. I can't help it.
So
the 50th anniversary is coming up this week. Go on. It is. Mantrap. Met the guy who wrote Mantrap, George Clayton Johnson, who also wrote Logan's Run, Ocean's 11.
You're getting very Rain Man-y here.
I can't help it, son, but move on. So please go back to you being on the next.
Go back to your Kevin Bacon, 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
George Clayton Johnson is a great science fiction writer. He's one of those. He and Charles Beaumont and Richard Matheson were part of Serling's circle of writers they could count on for great Twilight Zone episodes. And like I said, he wrote the original Ocean's 11 story. He co-wrote Logan's Run. He, and the first episode of Star Trek, The Man Trap. How you doing, everybody?
That was excellent. Excellent.
I know. I can't help it, man. That's my ADD.
Well, my point is that you are talking to the neo-Nazi cover boy.
Wow.
Jew writer.
Yes, creating negresses.
And I was pretty upset about this.
We did actually exchange texts when this was going on.
I was upset. It was upsetting.
That's kind of it is unnerving. I can appreciate it. Like when Ed got called out with the the Tea Party shit on Captain America, that can get kind of really scary.
It can, because clearly it's an unhinged person who takes the time to Photoshop Holocaust shit onto you. That's not a right thinking person, and not just because listen, you want to believe in Nazi, fine, but if you're Photoshopping shit onto people, you're hate criming, And sure. Look at me trying not to insult the Nazis. Listen, believe what you want. It's okay. But but I will tell you that of all my friends that I've accumulated over the years, the one person I knew I could count on to make me feel better, because they would be angrier than I could ever muster in my life if I used all is my darling fellow Jew writer, Greg Rucka, who, when I forwarded to him, blew a fucking gasket and made me feel immediately better.
That's the bear. Attaboy. That's good.
I told him, I go, dude, I needed someone to be angrier than I was. That's what you need sometimes, to someone go,
sure,
what the fuck, and thank you. That's all I needed. That's all I needed. Because at the moment it felt like when they all decided to hit me, I was like, oh, is everyone pro-Nazi now? Because it's just perspective,
Sure. Well, no, when they all gang up and everything.
Yeah. Well, it's really only 30 people, but it feels like everybody at that second,
Well, a different wave of attack lately has been the Breitbart people, who are, I think, different than fair-minded conservatives that just have a different point of view. And honestly, I mean that. That's not condescension.
No, I agree with you wholeheartedly on this.
And it is so weird.
I have good friends who are Republicans that are just fucking stunned silent by all the co-opting that's gone on around them.
Sure.
And how dirty everything's been made, and I truly feel bad for them, because what they believe in is different than what I believe in, but it's not a bad thing. They just believe in different ways the government should work. This is something else. This is sexism and racism. That's what this is.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's gross.
No, I'm beside myself. I'll confess this. I bought Chuck Dixon's Clinton Cash comic.
Yes.
Not that I believe in it, but I'm fascinated by it.
And
curious.
Listen, I go to the Drudge Report every day. I'm curious. What do they, when I see what I see, what do they see? That's what I want to see. Right. And I'm not judging. I'm curious what they see.
Well, and again, I have had I like Chuck Dixon as a guy. I don't agree with a lot of what he believes in, but it's fine. He doesn't impose it on other people. But I didn't like when the Breitbart Greek guy, who's a very strange guy. I heard him on Joe Rogan's podcast. You know the guy I'm talking about?
Yeah. I know Joe Rogan.
Okay. Well, no, not Joe Rogan.
The Clinton Class guy, yeah.
Yeah, no. Giannis, whatever his name is, who writes for Breitbart and is a very outspoken conservative guy that, again, just really seems to want to get into, swiping at comics.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's weird. It started last year with the Honey Badgers hitting the Hugo Awards.
Right.
And that's what I'm saying.
This, right?
The sad puppies. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. And that's another one I didn't know about. Jessica Jones won a Hugo.
Oh, that's great.
And then I'm like, and then it was Saturday night, right? And I was really wasn't online. I went online 5 a.m. It was a bunch of sad puppy shit in my feed. I'm like, what? What's this? What? It was a whole nother world of nonsense I didn't know about.
Well, that's what I mean. It's just, it's weird. It's just it's like, we want men heroes. Okay. Well, there's plenty of men hero comics out there. Enjoy yourself.
No, as many people have said online, and someone, I think Sarah Silverman wrote this, someone wrote how off-putting it was listening to Frank Ocean's new album. Okay. Because they knew it was about a guy or something, right? And I think Sarah Silverman went, imagine how gay people have felt for the last 300 years.
There you go.
All right. So how's that? But they don't hear it. It's
Of course not. No, but it's interesting from a spectator standpoint. I mean, this is as I observe comics and talk about it on the podcast and stuff. Right. This is just another vein that I'm like, all right, I do want to explore this, but I don't want to give that side a vote of, like, I don't want it to be perceived as a vote of confidence. I just want to, I want to find this clinical way of talking eventually to Chuck about Clinton cash. But right now he talked to that Greek guy and it kind of bummed me out. I'm like, this is my own political kind of thing where I'm like, look, all right, Chuck, but it just bothered me because he's like,
just saying, because amidst all the craziness, there is some the facts, right? But the facts get lost by the what I perceive to be like vicious anger. And by the way, this is the same mistake they made with Obama. They attacked him so hard because they hated him so much for whatever their reasons were. The attacks were so hard, he just walked in office. Because you make him, it's overkill. It's too much. And they're doing it to Hillary too.
Oh, sure.
It is over the top, but your point's getting lost.
And it is a different game because then there are just neutral people that still have their problems with the Clintons, and in fairness, they don't make it simple because they seem to always make bad choices that come back to haunt them.
This is true, but when you attack this heavy, and when you mix your attack with some not true things, which is what happens,
absolutely,
then people just don't believe anything you're saying.
Right.
And that's what I'm talking, because there is some facts to deal with there, and they shoot past them in their rabid nonsense. And you're like I know she's an idiot, but like that shit Sarah Palin said the other day about like you see the thing, she fell and hurt herself.
Yes.
And blamed Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Well, yeah. I mean, I've got a buddy who lives in Arizona, and that governor is a nut. Yeah. Rudy Giuliani cannot get out of his own way.
Oh my God! Is there anyone more disappointing in the world than him?
No, not that's currently in the spotlight. I mean, GW at least has the good sense to walk away.
John McCain was probably the most disappointing politician from what I perceived him to be versus what he actually was.
Yeah,
and how quickly he would cower.
Yes,
to keep his seat.
Yeah, the Maverick's gone, man.
Yeah, totally. Right.
James Garner would slap him in the face for calling himself a Maverick.
I'm just happy it wasn't a Star Trek reference. So, but boy, Giuliani, boy, Jesus Christ!
Well, he was on this morning. I was watching. I love watching the Sunday morning shows. Yeah. And
well, I know this is unpopular, but both of them are in their 70s, him and Trump, and both of them sound a little ishkabibble sometimes, if I may throw out the Yiddish. Everyone acts like everyone's on, when you hear someone talking crazy, you go, maybe they're going crazy. Maybe he's not all well.
I don't
know. When you hear someone contradicting themselves every 45 minutes and screaming and yelling about the boogeyman, you're like, are you all right?
The national election is going to be very interesting, and we'll see how it all shakes out, because I'm as nervous as hell.
I'm terrified.
So, as I'm sure people on the other aisle are as well at the prospect of a Clinton presidency.
Fine, but you know what?
I do.
I have personal reasons for being terrified about Trump that go beyond politics. It just skews me out, man.
What else? Well, let's see.
Jessica Jones, which I'm very
I wanted to ask about that. Thank you. You and Mike. Yes.
Let's rewind on Iron Man. So Riri, I'm very excited about, but the book I think you particularly will love. The book I think that I'm really you're gonna laugh when you see the reaction on the internet is Infamous Iron Man, which is Victor Von Doom's book.
Yes,
I've never been happier with the craft of a first issue and what I dropped in this first issue than I am for Infamous Iron Man.
Seeds are being planted in International Iron Man.
Yes,
am I correct?
yeah, they're being seeded, and the seeds grow fruit in the first issue. And I've never, not Scarlett, not Daredevil, not anything, have I gotten more compliments from Alex Maleev on the script than I did on this issue.
Oh, great.
Yes, he was very, very happy. Also because I think it's the character that's closest to him in personality. So, for those who have met Alex, they'll know what I'm talking about.
Why do you think I'm laughing? No, that's awesome.
But I'm very excited. True what bombs are dropped in Infamous Iron Man. Very excited about that.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. And as I said online, and I'll say today, if you get a chance, go find Ed Brubaker's Books of Doom from about 10 years ago.
Yep.
One of the, as I tweeted, is there anyone in comics who has more hidden gems than Ed? Right? And
no shit. You're right. Marvel's Report was not a big seller, and it's one of my favorite Marvel's
so they all did
miniseries.
good, and none of them lost money. But if you're a fan of Ed, Ed's got a lot of interesting prez and Scene of a Crime and Marvel Report, like really interesting. And then there's this Book of Doom, which is this excellent character study of Victor Von Doom. For me to build on, that there was, I'm just so happy to read it or reread it. I read it 10 years ago, but reading it as research, I was like, this is lovely.
Oh, very cool. Because, I mean, obviously since Secret War, you've just intensified the Tony and Victor relationship. Yes. And I always appreciated those great stories when they went back to Camelot and stuff. So they've always had an interesting relationship.
Yep. I've only referenced it 40,000 times in the last 2 years.
Sure.
But there is a connection between the two of them. A lot of people thought that Victor was going to be Tony's biological father. I couldn't even fathom the math on that.
That's true.
Yeah, well, he's got a time machine. He can go back. This is what people.
Oh, that's true too.
It was very funny. I go, yeah, come on. So
yeah, and also, by the way, Tony's real mom. I'm enjoying reading her story in International Iron Man, and couldn't help but think like that she's almost like the Runaways or whatever in terms of her. I mean, I know there's more of a punk thing going on, but I don't know.
The Runaways, you mean the band, not the comic book?
No, I meant exactly. Okay. I meant the Joan Jett band.
No, it very much of that time, like the Slits. I was thinking of when I wrote her more than the Runaways.
All right,
but yeah, it's of that time period in music, and you'll find out. The rest of that in the next issue, like it ends with the whole series ends with issue 7, and then you find out exactly what the deal with the mother and father was and why Tony's not with them and what happened. So I'm pretty. Cool. I honestly, truthfully, regardless of what other one of the people, I was very, very happy with how that all came together. I know some people were annoyed that I've taken 2 issues out of Tony Stark's world to tell the story, but I'm like, this is his world. There's no, in my opinion, no story more important to Tony than the story that we're telling right now of what happened to him. So,
no, that's cool, and I loved it. And well, first of all, I'm always happy to see classic S.H.I.E.L.D. in action.
Yeah,
great to see Dum Dum, great to see the Contessa, and yeah, absolutely, man.
Well, yeah. So I have Miles
and George Martin producing her records or whatever. That's fantastic. That was very funny.
Talk to you like that. And by the way, all I think historically factual like that all could have happened. Like stuff like that.
Yeah, so is George Martin an agent of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
No, maybe. You imagine he's Hydra, right? Right, George Martin?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, it just writing all that was a lot. I enjoyed writing that a great deal. And it was you watching me scratch half of my CIA visit itch.
Well, that's another thing that I meant to ask earlier.
Yes.
And stuff.
Yeah, all that and what's going on with Miles' dad and his history with S.H.I.E.L.D. So there's a lot of parental S.H.I.E.L.D. going on, but very different stories being told because of it. So when we're done with Civil War, what's going on with Miles' dad? A couple issues ago, it's revealed that Miles' dad goes to Maria Hill and says, "Protect my son. And in return, I'll come back in," because we find out he used to work for them years before he was married and had a kid. So he said, "I'll come back in if you protect my son, and we'll see how that blows up in their faces." And it's big.
That's
Yes.
cool.
So the two Iron Man books, very different in tone. Lots of you get to watch a young hero find herself in the new Marvel universe, and you get to find the character in the Marvel universe who has dug the biggest hole for themselves you could possibly dig, attempt to crawl out of that hole. And I can't think of anything more interesting to write than who. Literally, this has been on my to-do list forever. Find the biggest villain and have them try to crawl out of that hole. And finally, the pieces came together that allowed me to do it.
Awesome.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it looks impossible, right? So that's a cool feeling when you're writing.
Very, very good.
And then we'll leave it on Jessica Jones, which is I just
tell me about it.
Finished an issue of. We have a brand. This is so exciting that we got the whole band back together. Gaydos drawing better than he drew 10 years ago. We got Matt Hollingsworth to come back. We got David Mack on covers. Everyone better at their jobs than they were when we started. And the character now a part of the pop culture in a way that none of us could have ever perceived. So,
does she look more like?
It looks exactly like the comic. We're not the biggest mistake you can make is let the comic be the comic, let the show be the show.
I honestly, it is part of Jessica's charm that she does look as unconventional as she does.
Yes, yeah, it would be a mistake to remove that from the literary aspect of it.
I agree. It's I've got a Gaydos and actually you signed it for me too. I've got both you and Mike's autographs on it, and it's her and it's Jessica smoking, and it's just this great and shot and stuff.
It was just very, we've talked about the past. One of the reasons I write so much is I'm so addicted to getting the art in. It's a very addictive endorphin rush or whatever they call it, a dolphin rush, and
endorphin rush,
and then when Michael started whipping out pages and they were better than the original series, but it looked exactly like but better, I was like, oh my god, this is fantastic. So we have a story where Jessica's life has been ruined. The preview came out on Friday. People see that she's in jail or getting out of prison. We're going to find out what happened, why no one in the Marvel Universe is speaking to her. Is her marriage over? Is the baby okay? What happened? And I'm very excited about it. It's
great.
It's a story I did not have 10 years ago, but I have today. And also, so much has happened in the Marvel Universe over the last 10 years that I discovered new mysteries for her to investigate. Right off the bat, the Ultimate Universe and the regular Marvel Universe merged, and we focused all on Miles and Doctor Doom. But what if there's a guy named Gary who is living in the Ultimate Universe, and all of a sudden he's here and he's married to some girl? And he wakes up and remembers, you know what I mean? Like there's mysteries in the Marvel Universe, the chaos of the time and space that can illuminate a brand new set of private investigations. It's pretty cool.
So, in other words, the merging of the worlds not only affected the heroes, but obviously affected regular people as well.
Yes.
Oh, that's really fun.
Yeah,
that's great. This is not my beautiful house.
Yeah,
this is not my beautiful
life. I was
life.
a deli owner last week. Why am I producing records?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
so is it? It will be an ongoing, or is this
ongoing?
Wow.
Yeah. Oh
God, man. Well, that's Jesus.
And
that's
it's
great.
fun to write. It's just fun to have her fucking with her phone and her and Luke. I rarely ever do this. I literally tweeted, "It is so great to be writing Luke and Jessica again regularly."
Interesting. So was Alias 2004 or was it earlier?
2002 to 4. Maybe 2001 to 4.
Okay, that's what I thought. Because I was going to say, I think the first shit that I read of yours might have been Alias, and it wasn't Ultimate Spider-Man right away. It was more Powers and Alias, I think. And I was on Powers pretty early, too, so that was 99.
God bless you.
But but I just, Jessica was great. I mean, I remember when the Max line debuted, and it was just this really good, different perspective on the Marvel Universe. And I liked The Pulse, but I didn't like The Pulse as much as I liked Alias. I'll be honest.
The second half of The Pulse is more Alias than Alias, though, truthfully, once Gaydos comes back to the book.
Exactly.
And they have their baby.
Listen, and taking nothing away from Bagley or the others that drew Jessica, but Jessica just has this very specific look that no one else nails like Gaydos.
I said I don't think I could do this series unless Michael's available. I can't imagine doing a Jessica. I've written Jessica Jones without him, with other people, but Jessica Jones monthly with me should be with Gaydos. And
absolutely.
Also, Michael's one of these journeyman artists, and he, real low profile. He just joined Twitter like this month. I mean, how low profile can you be? And for him to just have the experience of the show being so well received, and him, it's just such a lovely thing to watch. You know what I mean? Like, I got it with Oeming and Gaydos. It's just, they sit in their room and they draw all day. And then for Michael to go to New York Comic Con and the place like gives him a standing O, it's not what we're wired for or what we're asking for. So it's such a beautiful thing that happens. And, I went to college with Michael, and we weren't really friends back then, but.
I didn't realize, or I didn't remember that. Go on.
No, he was a year ahead of me, and he was literally 8 times better than me as an artist. I mean, just bowling me over. So I'm trying to identify myself as the comic book person, and he's a year ahead of me, and he's destroying me. He's just like, just flattening me to the point where, oh my God, I broke into comics, in college. I got a contract to publish at Caliber Comics, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then, a week later, he got a contract to publish at Tundra, and the difference being mine was on shitty newsprint. His was fully financed by a very rich dude who made full color, fully painted. He did a book called Strength, and it was fully painted in full color on glossy paper. And I'm like, you son of a bitch.
What was the name of his book again?
And then after college, we both found each other at Caliber, and with clearer eyes, could admit that I just admired the shit out of him. And he actually did a piece in the Jinx graphic novel. Like, Jinx has like a fantasy sequence, and he drew it.
Oh, cool.
And then we did a Batman piece together. The only thing I've ever done at DC.
Citizen Wayne?
Citizen Wayne was with him and Gaydos. And then we went right from that to Jessica Jones. So we've known each other a very long time. And it's really the best part is watching people who never ask for the spotlight or ask for any kind of recognition to have it given to them just based on their genuine talent. And it's just lovely. It's just absolutely lovely. And then the only fear you have is when you come back to a book after years that people have all changed. They've evolved into something else. David Mack's covers show an evolution. I mean, they're excellent, but there's an evolution. They're not the same style as what he was doing. And I wonder what it will feel like. Now, we did a year ago do that 8-pager for Netflix. Right. So that made me go, oh, this book would be like nothing, like no time has passed. And lo and behold, now that the first issue's in the can and off to the printer, it looks like no time has passed.
When does that come out?
First week in October.
Fantastic.
Yeah, very, very proud of it.
Absolutely, man. No, welcome back.
The only thing I have to worry about is people judging one comic book against the entire experience of Alias.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like, wait. And I've seen this happen to other people with other things. Like, give me 10 issues and then compare the two.
What, dude?
You know what I mean?
I know. Yes, I do, because nothing drives me crazier than that. Go ahead.
Most people who read Alias that are actively involved in comics right now just binged the whole comic book in trade, right?
Sure.
They tore through the whole thing in a weekend. I hear from them every day, and it's awesome. So the first issue may feel less than that experience, but hopefully we'll build to something of equal or greater value.
That's excellent, man. No, I'm very excited about it. I can't wait.
I'm truly, really, really, really happy about all the number ones that are coming after Civil War. I really very strong work by everyone I'm working with. Like every book feels like a winner, and that's a very exciting feeling because a lot of it, as you know, it's just, as we were talking about before, it's art. You don't always know if it's all going to come together.
Sure.
So when it all is coming together from all ends, it's a damn good feeling, man. Really, really feels good.
Awesome, man.
Yeah.
All right, I got one final question because I've never asked you about this before.
It's circumcised.
Well, thank you. It's like Max Mel Brooks
I wasn't
the other
sure
day.
it was, but I read on the Nazi website that it definitely is. It is.
I've never asked you about have you ever met Ike Perlmutter? Have you?
I've not met with him. I've spoken to him on the phone.
Okay.
I think he lives in Florida or something. I've never been in a place where he had been in the same room. Wait, have I met him? You know what? That's not true. I actually have met him. I met Marvel. I'm sorry. It was many, many years ago. So I apologize. Yeah.
Has he ever had any comments on your work?
Nothing negative. All good.
Cool.
Yeah, believe me, I wouldn't be here.
No, I'm interested because of his certain, level of privacy and everything. And,
Yeah,
it's just all right.
Man, so everyone wants to know stuff. No,
Sure.
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
I don't care. I don't care about
I'm trying to think if there's anything. No, just all good.
I don't care. I don't care about his gated community lawsuits. I don't care about any of that shit. That's fine. Whatever.
Think about it.
So yeah, of course not. Of course not. But no, honestly, I was just wondering because I in a different way, Danny Fingeroff. I'm like, God, you worked with Stan's brother all those years, and you never hear about Larry Lieber, and I'm like, tell me about Larry Lieber.
Yeah, no, I've met Avi over many times over the years, and all those people I've met.
Alan Fine.
Alan Fine I worked with a lot on the creative committee.
Yes.
And so I know I've spoken to Alan hundreds of times versus a handful of times I've talked to Ike.
Okay.
Yeah, it feels to me that if Ike had a problem, I'd be writing Green Lantern. No, but honestly, it does seem, from what I gather, that he's really appreciated what I've added to the pile of toys. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So there you go. I know now all the silence is making it sound like I'm.
No,
I've never talked to him. No, he's honestly a couple times, a couple of really nice things, and sends me a box of peaches at Christmas. It's very nice. Or pears.
That's lovely. Yeah. Oh, very nice. Very I like nice. Peaches. That's good. It's hilarious.
It's actually pears. I'm sorry. But,
whatever. Okay. For the record, it's pears.
When the pears stop, I know I'm in trouble. That's all.
That's cool. Pears are good too. I like that. I love that fruit. Half a peach, half a plum.
There you go. But it is interesting to meet. Like, there's a perception online about who's running what, and then there's the reality of who's running what. Like most people, I don't think even know who Alan Fine is.
No, I just see the credit
in every single one of their books. You know what I mean?
Say it again. Yeah, exactly. The name's in every book.
Yeah. So there's people just have a very low profile, but do. And by the way, Buckley's the same way. Buckley, very, very, very low profile.
I know it bums me out. It drives me nuts that he won't come on. I mean, I respect him, and really I've had interesting conversations with him. But yeah, he's just like, I'm afraid I'm going to say the wrong thing, and I'm like, all right, Dan, I won't ask you anymore. But every time I hear him speak, he's brilliant.
Out even more because he's the most fascinating of all those guys.
That's what I was going to say when I see him on panels.
Speaking to him, he challenges me in the best way. He's a very good boss.
Cool.
Like in the best way. You know what I mean? Like he'll tell me no and he'll tell me why. You know what I mean? Like and pushed me in the best way, like Joe did. Joe pushed me in the best way. Like, this is what I like about it. And I've never had a conversation that I didn't walk away just absolutely fascinated by what he said.
Cool.
So, and by the way, one of these guys, and he hates, I've said this before, he hates this. One of these guys that does a lot of good things behind the scenes that he'll never take credit for, because taking credit for it takes away from the idea of doing the nice thing in the first place. So when you see like some of the older creators being taken care of all of a sudden because past regimes did not take care of them, and then he quietly takes care of them, that's very nice.
Sure.
He fixes a lot. He fixes a lot of problems without any applause or press release.
Excellent. So. I have not seen De Palma. Have you seen De Palma?
I've not seen it yet. God.
Okay.
I know. When you texted me last night, I'm like, shit, I can't get to it.
Yeah, well, I couldn't rent. I was trying to rent it and couldn't figure out how to watch it on iTunes after renting it, so it was driving me crazy.
I know, and it played at the theater by my house for like a day, and I was like, oh, I'll see that tomorrow. Oh, it's gone, you mother.
But I did see Max Rose, the Jerry Lewis movie,
and
I got to tell you honestly, and I know I like everything old, but I thought he was great, and I've read. Because it's funny, a critic friend of mine is like, really, it's getting panned a lot. But I read a lot of those panned critiques, and a lot of them pan the movie, but I'll say Lewis really gave a great performance. I think it's going to be, at the very least, it will not surprise me if he gets at least a Golden Globe nomination or a Screen Actors Guild nomination, if not an award, because it's a very dignified performance. He keeps it low-key. It's the right amount when he does get angry on screen and stuff. And it's like when he was on Wise Guy 30 years ago, if you remember that show.
King of Comedy.
Okay, well, certainly King of Comedy. That's the great performance. But this is one of those, like, typical Oscar noms where it's like, hey, you know something? The guy still has it in him, and it's a great, quiet performance that wouldn't otherwise get acknowledged, but the fact of his entire career.
You ain't getting a dime from me until he releases that clown movie.
Well, that goes without saying, but it was interesting. I thought it was great, and there's an amazing Q&A that he did after a screening of Max Rose that is hilarious to watch on YouTube because
forward it to me.
I will, because it's great, because it's like a comic panel where he is really excited about this movie, and in a very lucid way, because he is 90, says to the audience, hey, we really want your feedback because this is important. And this movie is going to require word of mouth, so I'm really interested to hear what you think of it. And one woman, a lot of them are just there for the experience of talking to Jerry Lewis and just, oh, you're the king of comedy, you're great. He's like, that's nice, thank you, next. And not in any mean way, but just kind of like, I really want to hear about the movie. And then this one woman comes out and goes, Jerry, I understand you grew up in Newark in the 30s. Can you tell us what it was like to grow up in the 30s? And he's like, no.
Well, he could have been, he was talking to a woman. He likes to not do that.
Well, that's true too. But no, he really did kill me. And it's because he manages to be reasonably charming, but he is also like, hey, I want to talk about this movie I just made. I don't want to, talk about me and Dean, or I don't want to talk about the Nutty Professor or anything. No, so but I definitely think if you're at all curious, it's worth watching. It's a television movie plot, but it's done in an indie movie way that it didn't bother me. And it does kind of have a very simple story to it, but I think it's a good portrayal of an old man dealing with the death of his wife and being 90.
Well, two things that I saw, both Gene Wilder related, is I just watched, everyone's talking about that comment he made about how he hated the remake of Willy Wonka, Gene Wilder.
Who hated
Gene Wilder hated the remake.
Good. Thank God.
He said it was an insult.
It was an insult. It was shit.
And and he said so. It was pretty funny. Watch the whole back and forth with him. It's online right now. It's quite great. If you just Google Gene Wilder hates the remake of Willy Wonka, you'll get to see the whole half hour of him. And it was like the last public appearance he made.
That's great.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It was like 3 years ago.
Was it that YMCA?
Yes,
92?
You saw it already.
No, well, I haven't seen it. I just saw it listed, so I haven't had a chance to watch
it. You'll I said, John would love this.
That's great. Because we talked. I don't know if we'll release it or not, but we talked about the Mike Nichols HBO thing in our last conversation.
No, we will release it.
Okay, good to hear.
And the other one was Mel Brooks, who I know you just saw live.
I did.
On Jimmy Fallon on Monday.
Yeah.
And he killed. Yeah. He didn't do just good for an old man. He killed.
Dude, I'm telling you, that's how he was in Chicago.
He's 90 fucking years old, and he
still got it.
The place.
You know what was amazing? He was just on Leonard Maltin's podcast talking about everything and also talking about retooling Young Frankenstein for the stage. And it just occurred to me on Sunday, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if Wilder's going to be involved, because he did co-write it. And then the next day we got the news.
Yeah, I know. No, and it's weird. Like, he's been hustling to get that Young Frankenstein thing going.
Yes.
And the fact that he has to hustle after the producers is insane.
Well, I guess maybe they did test it.
Yeah, I felt it was something.
Work.
And the same thing with Eric Idle tried to do a Life of Brian.
Oh, no shit.
And I have a video of the performance of it. They released it, but it never went to Broadway. And I'm like, why wouldn't people be moving heaven and earth to make that happen after the success of Spamalot?
Sure.
You know what I mean? Sure. And the same thing with Young Frankenstein. It's just like, you know what I mean? Put Nathan Lane in the fucking outfit. Let's go. Anyway.
This is true.
So anyway, It was if you get a chance, check this out. And it just as we both you and I careen into death, it's always nice to see old people
that still have it.
Yeah, it is inspiring.
Well, you know, when Orson Welles said this to Bogdanovich, and you can get this on archive.org, and it's in Bogdanovich's book, Listen to Orson Welles, he talked about old conductors that were still conducting symphonies into their 90s. And it's, if they have projects, it keeps you young. It keeps your mind going. And that's why Carl Reiner is cranking out all these great books. And Mel's doing what he needs to and stuff. And I'm telling you.
I had the thought, because you could see there's one moment on the Tonight Show where you can see on his face, he mentions Anne Bancroft. And you could see he had that little twinge of shit, I'm losing everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no. So I check Carl Reiner. But Carl Reiner goes, oh no.
Yeah, that's actually sad but true. I mean, and he's like 94.
Yeah, these are not young guys. But I just was and he was a little out of breath, Mel Brooks, you know what I mean? Because he was literally dancing around the stage.
That's what he did in Chicago.
And you're like, if
90.
I literally thought they were going to do like you ever seen the movie Walk Hard?
Yes, of course.
At the end of Walk Hard, he goes, and Dewey Cox died 3 minutes after this. I literally thought Mel Brooks was going to go backstage and just die a happy birthday.
Well, and like I said, a few months before I saw Mel Brooks, Carol Burnett, and she's 83, and she was running around the stage.
Jesus.
And that's what I'm saying, man. No, and it's really, it was such a privilege this year to get to see these amazing comedy minds actually like in person and hearing them talking. It was, I mean, because Mel told all of it's the same. It's the Cary Grant story. It's the Alfred Hitchcock story. It's the stories you hear on talk shows a million times. But it's like a rock performance. Like, all right, now I get to hear, Paul McCartney sing "Let It Be" in front of me.
Speaking of which, I did.
Yes, that's why I mentioned it. Go on.
No, my awesome wife got me excellent tickets to Paul McCartney. I've never seen any of them live in any situation, and also that package where you get to go watch the sound check.
Wow!
And the sound check was 45 minutes of material that wasn't in the concert. It was just shit he wanted to play. It's
wow!
Blackbird. It was the only thing he did both.
What was the most obscure song that he did in either?
Well, literally some ragtime shit, and and he did a Jimi Hendrix song, and he did a Johnny Cash song, and I'm like,
oh, that's cool.
I could go. I literally was like, I could go home now. Right. I will say what was very funny about being part of this VIP, and I don't get to a lot of shows and stuff, is this group of people was like the biggest music nerds in the world. So as we were being escorted to stuff, like we had a sound check, and then we got a meal. Of course, it was a vegan meal, so because it's vegan,
Right.
And so we were talking with other people, and they were talking about guitars the way we talk about the X-Men. And how funny it is, but the funny thing is that X-Men fans wouldn't look down on them, but they would look down on us.
Well,
yeah. I know I'm making a general, but it's very funny that my favorite line that I heard in like the elevator was I do have a guitar signed by John Lennon, and then the guy goes, "But you signed by John?" He goes, "Well, it was signed by the John Lennon machine that signs things, but still."
The auto pen.
Yeah, I'm like. Yeah, and the guy didn't want to be mean to the guy, so he just kind of let it go. But you could see he was like, it's not really signed by.
Exactly. Jesus Christ, that's awesome.
It was very funny, but it just it was the same kind of. Well, in 1973, it was John that told Paul that that kind of. It was very much. It was very much. Yeah. I know that mind. I know that mind at work.
I understand. Have you heard the Monkees album?
The new one?
Yes. No. Oh, my God.
No, stop it.
I'm telling
you. Really?
Well, I'm a fan of Death Cab for Cutie and XTC, and it's amazing hearing an Andy Partridge influence being sung by Mickey Dolenz. And you can hear both, and and I like the weird monkey shit that came after Don Kirshner said, fine, go, do your thing. I don't care. I'll let the Archies sing Sugar, Sugar.
All right, I'll check it out.
And that's why. And honestly, Gail Simone is like, oh my God, the Monkees album. And I'm a Monkees fan, so I'll admit that. But no, I think it's real. I think it's interesting. Justice, that last thing they tried to do was shit. It was horrible. It was embarrassingly bad.
All right.
But this one is really, it's cool. They've got good songwriters. Yes.
Well,
so I recommend it.
I will leave you with a recommendation.
Please.
The Aaron Sorkin Masterclass, which if you're on Facebook or YouTube, you've seen a commercial for a million times. And so this
HBO?
No, it's online. It's a masterclass. Okay. You have to pay for it.
Oh.
But it is 35 lessons, and it's great.
Wow, how much is it?
I think $90, I think it was.
Okay.
Right. But well worth it. And in the beginning, I was like, because it was a little on the basic side.
Okay.
But it needed to start somewhere. I mean, I wrote a book like this, so I know you have to start.
Sure.
You have to put people's feet on the ground. And then you get to chapter 4, and you're like, here we go. And now I'm in the 20s, and it's a 7-chapter. He put together a West Wing writer's room of young writers that we get to follow their work with him as he's critiquing them. And he put together as we talked about at the Austin Film Festival, he's never seen the 5th season of West Wing on.
Huh.
So he puts together a writer's room of them breaking the 5th season of West Wing without having ever seen what they actually did.
So they're breaking the existing 5th season, or they're doing their own version of the 5th season?
Yeah, they're doing their own version. They're going, okay, we're back making the 5th season of West Wing, and the president has left office, and the daughter's kidnapped, and John Goodman, and let's go. Let's figure out how to get out of this.
Interesting. Wow, that's cool.
It just filled with insight from a very talented person. I know I love him so much, but it's great. I know people who read Words for Pictures and other things are always looking for craft stuff from us, and this is the best craft thing that I've been part of this summer, and I've just loved it.
All right, Aaron Sorkin Masterclass.
$90. Yeah, it's so good it makes you want to take the Dustin Hoffman one.
Oh, so wow.
It's like Dustin Hoffman does one, and Werner Herzog does one, and Serena Williams does one about whatever their thing is. And, it's great. Just
very interesting.
Yeah.
Is that? Do you know the umbrella site that it's at, or is it just Masterclass?
Okay. I mean, literally, right? Aaron Sorkin Masterclass comes right up. It literally was the commercial on everything on my social media. Like I was being forgiven.
Yeah, I've seen commercials for it before. Yeah.
But really, really good, and I'm specifically spacing them out so I don't eat it up too fast.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. No, that's amazing. I was gonna. Oh, you must remember this. My favorite Hollywood Dirty Story podcast. Incredible narrator, and she tells hilarious stories about the golden age of Hollywood. Right now, it's all in the middle of Joan Crawford's
or as you
career.
call it, the only age of Hollywood.
Hitchcock Truffaut is pretty good.
I have it ready to go.
There you go.
I know that's going to be a lot of reading, so I'm waiting when I have a.
I respect that. All right, Bobby, I'll let you go.
All right, I got to go right.
Much against your wishes, but you know.
I know. I thank you very much for your patience, and I love you. Yeah.
Oh, my man.
To you.
Of course, always a pleasure.
The extra bonus is that we put it online, but it's nice to talk to you.
There we go. You know, it's always fun. I mean, we end up, having these marathon conversations, and it's like a nice evening out with a friend. And I'm glad to present this to you this time, a new episode of the Bendis Tapes. Again, we'll present that March episode in a few weeks. God, I've got so much content to give you. I did another interview yesterday. Jeff Lemire is coming up next week on Word Balloon. Rick Remender is coming up at the end of this week. And, I still have other interviews lined up. Man, I'm really excited about one celebrity interview that if it happens, I will plot. And really excited about this pop culture interview that's coming up on Word Balloon if everything works out, and it sounds like it will. So fingers crossed. And again, I won't give you a name until it's confirmed. And you might not necessarily know the name, but when I rattle off the credits, I think you're going to be pretty impressed, especially comedy nerds. So there's a nice tease for some upcoming programming here on Word Balloon. Brought to you by InStockTrades.com, where there are great books waiting for you now at amazing prices. You can get the Fables Deluxe Edition, Volume 13. That's Bill Willingham and Mark Buckingham, $14.99. You can get the Amazing Spider-Man and Silk Spider-Fly Effect, and that's Robbie Thompson and Todd Nauck. That's 42% off, $8.79. You can get BPRD Hell on Earth from Mike Mignola and Cameron Stewart. The Exorcist is this particular volume, trade paperback volume 14, 45% off, $10.99. You can get Captain America, The Serpents Unite. This is who wrote this? I want some names. I'm not seeing names on this credit. I apologize, kids, but it's some Serpent Society action. It is 45% off, and it's $4.39. Interesting, and it's Cap and the Falcon facing the Serpent Society. You can also get the Captain America Epic Collection from Stan Lee and various artists. I think you'll like it, including the first appearance of the Falcon. This is Stan and Jack and Steve Ditko and Gene Colan. How about that, man? Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Pretty cool stuff. It includes that wonderful Steranko run, and Steranko always laughs when you say run because he had only 3 or 4 issues of Cap during that period. But it's amazing stuff. You had Jack Kirby and Lee back again, and Jack drawing Captain America, which was fantastic. Some great World War II flashback stories. In fact, on this whole Hail Hydra period, I believe this is the mind control story where Cap is giving the Nazi salute that everyone is like, Cap has never been like this before. And it's like, yeah, sure he has. Here you go. Here's a little panel for you. So you had Lee and Kirby. Then you had Steranko's run that, again, was brief but incredible. And then right after that, Gene Colan comes on Captain America. In fact, Gene and I talked about that on our Word Balloon conversation. And, it was, so this is the cream of the crop of Marvel all working on Captain America. Pretty neat stuff. This trade paperback is 50% off. It's $19.99. The Coming of the Falcon, Captain America Epic Collection. Just a few of the things available to you from InStockTrades.com. Check it out now, and you will not believe some of these great prices. In fact, I'm going to give you one more. How about that? Because it's important to point out people like Shannon Walters and Brooke Allen and their wonderful Lumberjanes to the Max edition. Hardcover Volume 2 is 30% off, $27.99 from InStockTrades.com. John Suntra saying thanks again to the League of Word Balloon listeners and you, the Word Balloon audience, all of you. You're all part of the League, whether you're contributing just by listening or subscribing. It's totally fine. I feel like you're all part of it. Coming to New York Comic Con in a couple weeks. I will be there Thursday through Sunday, wandering the aisles, mostly down in Artist Alley, because that main floor is insane. But I'll probably make it to the main floor. I hope to make it to a couple panels. I don't know if I'm going to leave the Javits Center, though. I got to be honest with you. They got some cool stuff happening at Madison Square Garden and the Hammerstein Ballroom, but I'm just not sure if I'm going to make the trek down there because going down there plus seeing the panel and coming back, that's going to knock 2 hours out of the day. Kind of crazy. I hear Artist Alley is going to go until 8 o'clock at night. Really? Man, that's long. I mean, that's great, and especially for people who, on Friday are coming from work or something like that and still want to have a good time. But, man, that's a long Artist Alley. Wow. God forbid we want to have dinner or anything like that. That's not dinner, as Art Baltazar and I would say. Anyway, looking forward to New York Comic Con. Can't wait to see you out there. Please, if you see me, stop by. Make sure you say hello. Let me thank you for listening to Word Balloon, because it really does mean a lot. Until next time, Word Balloon is a copyright feature of Shaky Productions, copyright 2016.